Good evening, everyone. Welcome May 8th, 2025, Public Safety Commission. It's now 6:07 and call the meeting to order.
All right, so I'll do the roll call. Chair Doss,
Yes, please.
and Vice Commissioner Muslim,
Here.
and Commissioner Vega, and Commissioner Salvar.
Ready.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so now we have first in the agenda some of the ceremonial matters. The first is the subject March 13th.
Point of clarification, Chair. No ceremonial matters and presentations tonight, just the next item on the agenda is approval of minutes.
Is that approval of the minutes? Sorry, yeah. Our first agenda is the approval of the minutes and this is the March 13, 2025 Public Safety Commission meeting minutes. And I pass it to Jessica and Marta for this, so that we can accept.
And the minutes are gonna be up on Legistar. They were also sent out for the meeting. For approval of minutes, does anyone have any questions about the minutes or any concerns? Or we could to approve as they were sent out.
Yeah,
All right, could I get a motion to approve the minutes?
motion to approve the March 13th minutes.
Okay, and can I get a second? And we'll do a roll call vote. Chair Doss,
Yes.
Vice Chair Rosen,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sutherland.
Approve.
Okay. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, so our next item is the oral communication, right? So so this portion of the meeting is reserved for the person wishing to address the commission for any matter within the jurisdiction of the commission and not in the agenda. And speakers are limited to 3 minutes. So I am, asking if anyone wants to participate in this oral communication.
Yes, so this evening, Chair, we have one written communicate or one oral communication. If anyone from the public wishes to make oral communications, please fill out a speaker card and have it turned in by the time the first speaker is done speaking. So welcome, Somali. You will have 3 minutes. And you can come up to the table and speak.
Hi, everyone. So I moved Cupertino about 12 years ago. And so we love Cupertino. I moved from Boston. So no comparison with the weather. So, so we loved it. And then we had this two incidents on our street about burglary, and that's what kind of led us to block leader program and the neighborhood watch program. So Stephanie was at that time the neighborhood watch person who came to my house and actually kind of explained how the neighborhood watch program is run. And she told us what we should do, how we should be vigilant, etc., etc. And then after that, every year we have block get-togethers. And then whoever is coming new to our block, we kind of explain them and then kind of welcome them. And we have a WhatsApp group. We used to have a Google group. Now nobody cares about it. So we generally do communication through WhatsApp group. And I just wanted to bring the program, that is Block Leader program, to the Public Safety Commission, because I think it's a great tool. And as Vice Captain Moza had talked to him about it, our home was burglarized in March, and I wanted to do this for a long time, but this kind of was the last straw. So, but then we thought that block leader program is a great tool for all these kind of for telling people how to be vigilant and sending information, collecting videos. That's what we talked about, because a lot of people have now video cameras. So why don't we use this tool for the public safety purpose, right? So as Marta is here and she is actually runs the block leader program, we would really like for you to kind of step up and take leadership on this and help the public with this. It's a serious issue. If you see the stats, there are so many burglaries happening right now, and not only in the houses, but also on the street. And on the East Coast, my friends are asking me, why are you living in a lawless state? Which is really not true. But I mean, that's how the perception of this city is outside. And I really want to understand what we can do to solve this issue. And I talked to Vice Captain also about it. So we would like to actually know how the resident can help to curb this situation. Are my time up?
Of course.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Shonali.
We have one more oral communication for this evening. Welcome, Mark. You will have 3 minutes.
Thanks. Hi, sorry I'm late. Norma Lindu invited me. I'm a former commissioner 25 years ago. Norma Lindu lives across the street from me. He knew that there was a vacancy on the commission and knew a little bit about my background in safety, so he invited me to come, and I was curious about what's happening with the commission these days. So I'm glad to be back. It's been quite a while. I have a career in safety. I've been a professional safety engineer, safety director, safety manager for 40 years. So this is what I do. I've got no agenda, just here to see what's going on.
Thank
you.
Mark. For oral communication. Okay, I'll have it. Okay. There's one more oral communication for this evening. Welcome, Sadiq.
Yes,
You'll have 3 minutes.
thank you. Thank you for listening to me. I've been residents of the city for the last 15 years now. We moved to San Diego, have a couple of daughters going to Monte Vista. My family is very active. My daughter has been the rising star. She is the current rising star for Rest Award, actively participating in Monte Vista High School leadership group too, working with the city council members, mayor and city council members, and lots of initiatives. And she is very passionate. She has been pushing me. And I joined the TIC Commission recently. I'm vice chair of the commission. And last time I attended mayor's and commission meeting, and I recommended to form a cross-commission working group on public safety. Because public safety is on agenda not only in this commission, this is on agenda on lots of other commission as well. Correct? And I checked also from the compliance perspective, and our city attorney mentioned that yes, a cross-functional commission working group can be formed so that we don't duplicate, the commission don't duplicate what they are doing on public safety, and they can work and make a proposal to you guys. We can work together and make a proposal. For example, my commission can work on how technology can be used in the city. We are technologists, all of us are technologists. We have seen how technology is improving, is work on the corporates, how the technology is being used in our neighboring cities. And we'd like to recommend. We'd like input from this commission also. We'd like input from other commissions also. So my proposal is to form a cross-commission working group to make a proposal to our authorities and work. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that closes out oral communications.
Is there any other written communication?
The commission did not receive any written communications for this.
Okay. Now, so we'll go to the old business, right? In that.
Not having old business.
And the old business, okay, so then we are going to go to the next. Is the new business. So, next is, agenda number 2, presentation of the neighborhood watch program. And, I'm requesting and Martha to facilitate that. I think our sheriff's office is going to do this presentation today, right? So,
Okay, I'm not too sure how you want to run this, sir. I don't know if you want me to act like you guys are the like neighborhood that I'm giving the presentation to. So I guess I'll kind of just do it that way. So just working, what we usually do is, I've gone to a few of these. It's usually at somebody's house. I did one recently for the mayor chat as well. And we just kind of go over property crime trends and stuff like that. You go to the next slide. Next one, sorry. We go over property crime statistics. These are from our end of the year one. I have the most updated ones up to March that I'll give later during my safety commission report. So I just want to kind of give you guys a general idea of what presentation we give to the actual neighborhood watch program. So we just kind of go over the property crime totals, what's trending and what's going up and down. The next slide goes into how it breaks down on a pie chart. I'm a big visual learner, so I like visual like pie charts and charts and stuff like that.
can we go to the previous one?
Yeah.
A second, previous slide.
So again, these are totals from last year. It goes all the way up to December of 2024. I have the most current ones for 2025 and the ones that I'll be giving later. I just didn't update this one because I just wanted to give you a general overview of what the actual presentation looks like. Yes, ma'am.
Can you define the difference between residential burglary and grand theft?
Yes,
For us,
for sure. So residential burglary is Penal Code Section 459, which basically means that I, as a suspect of a crime, has to enter a dwelling in order to commit theft or any felony. So like most common is residential. I have to enter your house with the intent to commit a theft or any other felony. Whereas a actual grand theft is if I steal a bike off your porch, or I take your wallet from your person, or steal your purse off this table. That's what a grand theft is. It's anything over $950 of value. Anything below $950 is considered a petty theft. So that's the big differentiator, is actually entering a dwelling or a just specified structure to commit a theft. That's what the difference between burglary and grand theft is. Does that make sense?
thanks, yeah,
Yeah.
that,
And then commercial burglary is just that. It's a commercial business.
yeah, it just seemed like the grand theft seemed like a bigger deal, but
It just says grand theft is bigger because it encompasses so much more. It encompasses like when someone's bike gets stolen off their porch over here, like the apartments, or again, like a wallet or other things like that. So,
thank you.
so yeah, the pie chart just kind of give another visual reference of how all the crimes are breaking down. Next one and next one. And then again, just another chart to kind of show the trend of burglaries over the last 10 years. For this particular chart, just kind of showing the trend of going the ebbs and flows. Next one, it breaks down to burglaries per month. So here I kind of break it down to ask. I like a lot of, because I teach at the academy too, so I like a lot of like interaction from the people, public. So I'll start asking questions like, hey, why do you think May through August is the most burglaries? And people will, well, we go on vacation. Like exactly, people know as a suspect of a crime, I know that people aren't home and that's when the time is hit, because that's when people most likely take vacations. Kids are out of school and that's when people plan vacations. And also the holidays too, like November, December. I say like what happens in November, December, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. And then people realize that, yeah, that's when most people are usually outside their homes. And then the next one goes to just another chart, kind of just breaking it down of the years of burglaries per month. This is giving different visual references. This is how people learn and stuff like that. Next one. And then this goes over the map of where all the burglaries happen. That's where all the red dots on your upper left-hand corner. And then it goes into type below that, apartment versus house. And days of the week up there too. and then time of day. And then that's when, again, a little bit more reaction. Hey, why do you think it happens between 4 p.m. and 12 a.m.? Darkness. Because as a crook, I don't want to be seen. So I try to go under the cloak of darkness. So that way people don't see me trying to break into your house. They do happen during the day, but predominantly in Cupertino, we usually see them in the evening, just because again, it's darker and stuff like that. Next one. And the one after that too. So here we go, just kind of some burglary tips section about how people can keep each other safe. Again, I try to get a little more action and try to ask people like, hey, what are some stuff that you do? I forget your first name, ma'am.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I forget your first name. Sonali, she did a great job of last time during the coffee with the mayor of going over some tips that she does in her neighborhood through her Neighbor Watch program. First one is Neighborhood Watch. It's kind of just being neighborly, knowing your neighbors, watching out for your neighbors. So that way it's kind of the whole see something, say something kind of thing. So if you see somebody that's suspicious at the other neighbor's house, call in the sheriff's office, we'll come out, check it out. And then other things like lock windows. People always ask about alarms. And the big thing that we're preaching is arm your alarms. Because a lot of people think that they're just going to leave their house for 5 minutes, that they don't need to arm their alarm because they're just going to be out. But burglary is usually a prime opportunity. So you got to arm your alarm anytime you leave the house, even if it's going down, pick up your kids from school. Or a lot of people know about the patrol check request. So you can go to our website and actually request a patrol check.
Oh, that's very interesting.
I did it as a deputy. Basically, what the residents do is they go to our website, request a patrol check. They put what dates and times they want are going to be gone or when they want the patrol check. And what a deputy does is they go out to the residents, depending on time of day, spotlight the front, try to get my steps in. So I'd get out of my car, kind of walk up to the front, make sure there's no broken windows, doors not kicked in, and so that. Not necessarily go in the backyard, just because a lot of bad things can happen in the backyard if there's dogs or maybe someone's home or something like that. We don't want to scare somebody if they're home or something like that. So usually this is the front check to make sure everything looks good. Big one is social media. Like, when you guys have social media?
Yes,
Yeah,
never
So-
say where you are.
exactly. But when we travel, right, we want to put those good photos online about we're at Disneyland, we're at Disney World, we're in Europe, right? But at me as a crook, there's software out there where I can search social media platforms and see those posts, especially if they're public. So if I know that you two are gone because you're in Europe, I know for a fact you can't call them this burglary when I go to your house. So we're preaching to all the residents is, hey, save those great photos of all those meals and those great sights you saw till you get back to your house. So that way you can do it. And then kids, right? How many, you guys have kids, right? Yeah, you have your siblings?
No.
No? Okay. Well, I mean, you're always on your phone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Kids too, right? They're always on their phones, social media, stuff like that. So we're preaching, hey, get your kids to stay off social media while you guys are traveling till you're home. So big thing, I know what came up during the mayor or the coffee with the mayor, especially with her, was where you keep your valuables. So what we've seen is the trend is the point of entry for burglars is through the back door, usually through a sliding glass door. They break it. They know they have limited time, so they make a beeline towards the master bedroom. Because what do we keep in the master bedroom?
Valuable.
Most valuable, right? That's where we usually have a safe, where we have our jewelry, money, passports, all that that could be stuff. So what we're saying is switch things up. Maybe move your safe or your valuables to another room, maybe a kid's room or like garage, somewhere unassuming where where me as a suspect aren't gonna really go to that place because I know I have limited time as far as the alarm going off, sheriff's office is coming. I know I have like maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so to get in there, try to grab as much as I can and bounce. So I don't have time to search the entire house to go to it. So we're kind of preaching like, hey, move your stuff to a different part of the house. So that way it is a little bit more safer, if that makes sense. Next slide. And then just reiterating, keep doors and windows closed when you guys leave the house, especially. I know it gets hot and we're getting to that hot time. It's very easy to leave doors and windows open or like especially windows, maybe cracked a little bit to let some circulation, some of that in. But again, burglary is a prime opportunity. So me, as a burglar, if I can not kick in a door or maybe break a window, but just slide up a window, I'd much rather do that rather than kicking in a door or a window. So again, prime opportunity. We're preaching keep doors, windows closed and stuff like that, even if you're only leaving for a short trip to the store or something like that. Gates and fences, put locks on them. So that way, me as a crook has a little bit more of a barrier to get into the backyard. Because if all I have to do is pop the notch and get to the backyard, that's a whole lot easier than have to jump a fence. Because it looks a little odd, especially if neighborhood watch is watching me jumping a fence into a backyard, because then it's like, well, that's not normal, because I don't recognize that guy jumping into the backyard. Next one. And last but not least, some of the stuff I already hit for alarm systems, is turn them on. You can actually, some alarm companies, so usually what the disconnect is once the alarm goes off, it goes to the dispatch center for the alarm company system. The alarm company system has to call usually the homeowner, and the homeowner says, yes, send police. And then they call our dispatch, who dispatches it to a patrol deputy, and then they respond. So that's usually where the disconnect is as far as response times, as far as when the alarm goes off to when we actually respond to the scene. Usually, most alarm companies, you can actually tell them if you want, and we're telling residents is you can call them up and say, hey, automatically dispatch. You don't have to call me if you get an alarm with that. However, there are some caveats with that, right? Because if it's in a false alarm, you set it off yourself, they might dispatch law enforcement without calling you, without you saying it was a false alarm. So it's, you got to weigh your pros and cons a little bit there. Maybe if you're going out of town though, say, hey, automatically dispatch, because you know I'm not going to be there. So that's what we're also saying with the alarm systems. We can't, as a sheriff's office, like represent any alarm systems, just because would that be like a conflict of interest? But there are plenty of systems out there that we say, like anything from like Nest to Brink to ADT, all those. And next one, I'm sorry. And last but not least is identity theft and fraud. Identity theft is a big crime that's rampant everywhere, just because it's so easy to do. There's no physical interaction between people. I could do it essentially from my bedroom in my underwear and just basically steal millions of dollars, thousands of dollars from people and not have that interaction where I might get hurt or I might have to pull a weapon on somebody or have a weapon pulled on me. So it's just so easy, and we're trying to keep people safe by just going with some tips on identity theft and fraud. Again, I try to get some little interaction with the crowd by just asking, hey, what have you done? What have you got, scams have you guys seen? That's usually like a false email, a cold call. It's kind of saying that you have a warrant for your arrest or that you owe money to the stuff. And I'm saying, hey, anybody that's going to ask for your money already has your information. They're not going to ask for personal identifying information from you. And then looking for fraudulent emails from like things and stuff like that. And that is pretty much it for the Neighborhood Watch presentation.
So now we get into the city's role. So after a presentation has happened in the neighborhood, if the neighborhood would like a neighborhood watch sign to be put up, we need a petition from the residents of each block. So not a whole neighborhood, but each block that would like a neighborhood watch, 80% of the residents to sign a petition that then goes to me and I send it over to the signs team over at Public Works. There are a couple reasons why they might say, no, we can't put up a sign. Almost always it's because there's already a sign there. In one case, it turned out that half the street was outside of Cupertino. So they couldn't put it in the precise spot that the residents had requested. We can put up a second sign, or in some cases a third sign, if after 6 months of the original sign going up, there is still concern about crime and the neighborhood would like a second sign. Same process has to occur. We need 80% of the residents on that block to sign a petition, and it goes over to our Public Works team. I keep saying block, because sometimes I'll have, it's all the same street name, and they'll say, oh, I want it between, here and here, and I like 5 signs. Okay, we need signatures from each of those blocks, 80%. And that's mostly because we need the consent of folks that yes, everyone or most people supermajority on the block would like the sign.
Can we ask question now?
And. All right, so a lot of folks will use the neighborhood block program either to provide a block leader program, and for some folks, it's an introduction to the block leader program. The neighborhood watch program is a national program. The way that things are done, naturally, there are some things that the city of Cupertino does not do that other cities do. I think, most famously, residents of Cupertino who are in neighborhood watch do not patrol. Partially because we have perfectly good law enforcement, partially because we don't want anyone to get hurt. There are some areas where they put like stickers on their car of like, oh, I'm on patrol for neighborhood watch. We request that residents in Cupertino do not do that. Because we don't want you to confront someone, and a violent situation is not really a situation you learn by doing. We would rather that you call the professionals, than that would be in our case, insurance. The block leader program is a bit more focused on community building as a whole, where neighborhood watch, as a national program, is focused on crime prevention. So they come from the same idea, which is that we're safer when we know our neighbors. However, when it comes to some folks who start interested in neighborhood watch and then maybe would like to discuss things with their neighbors on a more broad structure, spectrum of topics, they might switch to the block leader program. The block leader program also has more requirements. We ask that block leaders come to one of 4 quarterly meetings a year, that they host some kind of event, which could be a neighborhood watch presentation for the neighborhood. And that they participate in our awareness emails that go out. Thankfully, we have not had to send one of those.
So we can have right now the questions on this.
From the commissioners. Questions from the commissioners.
So,
Oh, from the commissioner.
okay. Yeah.
So with regard to the petition, is there a template already, or do we have to come up? Sign.
It can be as simple as a piece of paper ripped out of a notebook that just says, we're this city street between here and here, and we would like a neighborhood watch sign, and then just a bunch of signatures.
Okay. And then I have a follow-up question. So we had a neighborhood watch meeting once, and I believe it was Sean would come to our, now I remember.
I think
It was 4 years ago, 5 years ago. This was before the
Okay.
pandemic. So now it suddenly struck me when I heard you speaking about some of these things, but that's okay. We got a bunch of signs, but we never had anything installed by Public Works. So that's different, right? Just the things that go in the window, that's
Yes, so
different.
there are some signs available to go in folks' windows. I've found that since I have taken over the program in the last 2 years, people prefer having the sign, the street sign.
Yes,
But those are still available. It's
okay. So you have those plus the street sign. Okay, very good. That's it for right now.
Okay.
So on the neighborhood watch program, right? The sign, I understand, it gives some awareness of like it gives that safety feeling, but a street with the sign, a street without the sign, is there any difference from the law enforcement or anything?
So there have been some studies, they're a bit inconclusive. Because we're not sure if, I did not perform the study. The researchers were not sure if the actual point of difference was the fact that neighborhoods were now more in communication with each other, or if it was the actual sign itself. So we do know that areas with neighborhood watch programs do see less crime. But we're not able at the moment to point to, is it the sign that's the difference or not?
why the 80%? I mean, like, you know, in our street, we had we had to almost spend like a month or so in order to get the 80%. We were able to get like 60, 70, but like not everybody's available and getting why 80% in the street has to agree for this sign. How it is determined.
I'm not 100% sure. How it was explained to me is that that's a city policy. I believe it's the same as for having a barricade put up for a block party, is to make sure that there is near unanimous agreement. But I believe that's a public works policy.
Can we recommend?
Maybe we can find out that if somebody doesn't want to participate, they don't want to say yes or no, they have no opinion. Or somebody doesn't respond at all, they're not available, let's say. Can that be outside of the count of the full count? I mean, maybe that's something.
I mean, they wouldn't count as part of the 80%, but they do count as a
Like
red.
if somebody doesn't respond, will it be yes then?
We need their signature.
So we have to go to the same house multiple times because
So you
they're not
can,
responding.
so if you have 10 houses in the neighborhood,
Let's say-
let's just say 10, for example, you get 8 of them. There's 2 are not signing. Now, if you have
Not the
6
eight,
of
like
them.
if I have 6, but for the 2, I mean,
You
it's a lot
have
of
to try
struggle.
the remaining
Let's say people are
4.
not available, not their renters.
Yeah,
Let's say
rent, yeah,
their
tenants.
renters and the owners are not there. Then what do you do?
So I'm
You have to
thinking,
keep trying to.
No, then we assume like 6 out of 8 or 6 out of 10.
right now it's 6
No,
out
I
of
think
10,
it is-
60%.
That's what I'm trying to find out clarifications on.
Yeah, so if you don't hear from a household, then that's
Considered a no.
as a no, but unless you go back and reach out to them again. Yeah, it's not 80% of respondents, it's 80% of the neighborhood, of the block.
Can I recommend that we take an action item to understand how this 80% is determined and whether as a public safety commission, we can make a recommendation to lower it?
I think that might be
Maybe
operating.
Jessica.
I'll have to check, but yeah.
Maybe Jessica can take an action item to find out and clarify. So one thing, anybody has?
Yeah, I have some more follow-up questions. So can I also ask questions to Sheriff Officer, Sheriff, right?
Yes.
So great presentation, a lot of metrics, a lot of graphs, it's easy to digest. Looks the trends, I mean, at least from the graphs, it doesn't look that bad, but like when we hear neighbor stories, it's always scary. Even in our street, we had a burglary like 8-9 months back. So like, from the resources point of view, right, is there any ask from the sheriffs, like again, to the Public Safety Commission, is there any ask from the resources point of view, or in order to, I mean, last couple of months back when we met, we discussed about how do we boost the patrols, right? And we understand there is budget constraints and all. What are the recommendations or asks from the sheriff's office to the city council or the Public Safety Commission that way we can go and request the city council? What are the resources you need from the financial point of view or any other resources?
That's a conversation outside of Captain Valenzuela, just to see
Yes.
what he has. I know you guys already hit it as far as with like Flock coming online. Because one thing we've noticed with both Los Altos Hills and Saratoga is that burglaries kind of dipped a bit once those were, just because the bad guys know that there's automated license plate readers now.
Right.
Right, so they have to change their tactics a little bit, because they know that if they drive vehicles in, they're gonna get hit on one of those cameras, right?
So the LAPRs are now installed in Cupertino. I know April was the time frame given last time. Are they active?
No, that,
They're not active yet, but to my knowledge, they're being installed as we speak, or not maybe as we speak, but they're being installed now.
So how do we know the latest status on LAPR and how do we expedite? I don't know who.
To be honest with you, I don't have that question. I just know that they are being installed. I know because I usually run too in the evenings and I run through the neighborhoods. I actually saw some private ones too off of Rainbow. So I know,
Private.
I believe so, because it was basically, and it was deep off of Rainbow, like west of above. Because private residents can buy them themselves.
Right.
And they just have to give basically the city like the green light to be able to access them. So that way they can put it into the sheriff's office network. It's much like Saratoga and Los Altos Hills are the same way.
So can we find out who is the spok for it and get a status?
yeah, so last meeting, I remember that our city manager said that by April. it will be
April,
all
yeah,
installed.
yeah.
So I don't know the exact status at this point, maybe Jessica and Martha
I-
can find out and let us know. Because I had the same question that what is the exact status of that today, is like March 6th, 8th today. May.
I sent an email actually yesterday to our representative from Flock to see what the status is, because, was it you that emailed me, Jessica? About asking about Flock? Or no, it was Rochelle. Okay, I think it was Rochelle emailed saying that they, yeah, Rochelle, what's her last name?
Sander.
Sandra. She emailed asking that she heard that they were installed and operational. And I tried pulling up on the Flock end on my login, and I didn't see them on the map. So I emailed our Flock rep asking, hey, what's the status and how do we get them flipped on if they are operational? So I have not had a response yet from them.
So how do we find who is the SPOC and how we have ensured that it includes in the
So
minutes
this
for the
is-
next?
So this is, I think, in my understanding, this is being administered by the city manager's office. So I think the city manager's office, that means in Marta, have to take action to find it. That's my understanding. Because I sent the email on this one to earlier to, I think, city manager and, the response I gave that was that by April.
April, yeah.
we installed. So I had a follow-up email on that one ready actually, so I will send it, but I think, yeah, we need to find out where it is. Probably it is closed, but we don't know. So anything that we can help, I think we need to know. Basically, right?
And also it's better to know the like track status, right? So I mean, you got the action item, right, Martha? So I have a follow-up question. Okay, so the material, the neighborhood material is great, right? Is it also available on the city website or on the sheriff's website?
I don't believe it's available on the city website because it's a sheriff's document. I would have to speak with Captain Valenzuela to make sure that what we put up is something that is planned to be used for a while. Because obviously we don't want to have outdated information on the city website.
Especially the tips portion of it, right? I think the tips are great. Fresh coming out of the sheriff's office based on their experience, right, and their expertise. So I think those should be publicized. I'm not sure. I didn't go through sheriff's website. So if it's there, the tips somewhere in the website.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. It's off the top of my head.
So yeah, so I think one of the things that we discussed in the last meeting also, that not only the safety part of it, this kind of, guidance from the sheriff's office, the best practices. Also from the fire point of view also, like, when
The fact.
Hector or you presented, right? We wanted to get that message to community and we were trying to struggling that what is the process? What are the best vehicle to get this message to the community? And this message is a great message, but even I didn't know some of these things and how you can know. So that's why I think the leveraging block leader program or, any other program that if we can, through them, if we can spread the message and reach out to community, that would be helpful. I think that's one of the things that we discussed last meeting. And
So can
hopefully
we
can follow up on that, yeah. I think,
Sorry, continue, please.
no, I think today, I think our third, topic, today's that, creating a subcommittee and see that what are the specific actions we can take and how we can do better, with respect to the community development and as well as more concrete action to help and partner with sheriff's office to improve the situation. And as a part of that, we can take some of these actions.
Yeah, I mean, at least this action item, right? Somebody takes it, that way
Yeah.
we don't lose track of it. We
Yeah.
meet once in 2 months. So if we
Yeah.
forget and it's not in the minutes, then we totally.
And that is why we wanted to form, we have to discuss that formation subcommittee that can frequently meet and we can establish some concrete things.
So the subcommittee, we're gonna wait until the next.
Next topic, I'm saying hold it for now.
Mhm.
I think the next topic we can discuss this further, some sections.
And one more question for the sheriff,
please.
if nobody else has any. So it's lovely to see that the curve is turning down, which is great, we have lesser issues. How many though have been resolved? Like even if there was like 3, it came down from 3.
Mhm.
How many of those 3 are now resolved? As in, have they made an arrest? Have they recovered the property? Have they had any level of improvement besides taking the case
So
I
you're
know
saying
it's-
how many resolved cases trend?
Yeah, how many, what is the resolved cases trend is probably equally as important as how the trends are going. Because,
And to add to that, I have the similar, actually points written here. Another point is when this happened incident, the involved party, do they get further communication from sheriff's office that look, this is what we could do, this is what we have taken action, because that gives them more sense of security that, okay, we are protected, there is a system and that is working. I think people who has been victimized so that they feel better, right?
Yeah.
Because then they never feel better because when they're talking, coffee talk on the street, when they see each other, they share, look, there is some actions being taken on. I think nice to understand that. What do you do on that? Like personally, I had 2 incidents. And after the incidents, it was not resolved. I never got any communication back. So I don't know what is the process. This is like 2 years or more earlier. So that's something that we need to understand.
Yeah. As far as feedback, I mean, I was a detective. I did mainly domestic violence and like child abuse, but just the volume of cases, I didn't have the time to like call each individual person and say, hey, this is a status of your case. Just because I would spend my day doing more of those calls than actually like investigating. That makes sense. But I don't know if we can glean the clear like report statistics, but I could look into it to see if if there's a way we can glean that information as far as like cleared reports and stuff like that. I know we are at the end of this year changing a report writing system, just department wide, which hopefully should be a little bit more like data friendly as far as because our system right now is a little bit older and it's harder to build stats and stuff like that off of it. But yeah, I'll look into that, see if I can pull that kind of information and maybe for the next meeting.
Yeah, I mean, in your report, for example, the residential burglary was 70 cases a year.
Yeah.
So 70 cases basically in a city of Cupertino of so many people, like if those 70 incidents, those homeowners, they come to know that what happened, some case update via email even or text message, even that would have been a better thing. Because right now it's a little bit backward from that.
Yeah. I'll talk to Captain Valenzuela too, see if maybe he's tried it in the past,
Yes.
just to see what his answer is. Yeah, I'm sure he has, so he'd have probably a better understanding of that.
Anybody have any other comment on this thing? I have 2 more questions if I can ask otherwise.
So I have one more question on the alarm tip, Sheriff.
Yeah.
So I mean, personally, I have a ring monitoring system.
Okay.
It's not monitored by anybody, just for my home.
Okay.
It's not connected, right? It does give an alert, but even if it's making noise, nobody outside would hear. Even if it's screaming, right? Inside the house, it could be screaming. The neighbors may not hear. So is there any recommendation? I think many people in my neighborhood at least, not everybody has a service that somebody is monitoring their house.
Yeah.
Right? But they do have individual systems. So any recommendation on that?
As far as
What kind of alarm do you recommend that would alert neighbors? Let's say my house is being burglarized.
I
But
got you.
it's loudly making noise, but both neighbors are at home and nobody is hearing anything.
With that, I am not too sure if it's not audible on the exterior. There's no way to kind of alert your neighbors of it. However, if it's even audible on the inside, I mean, me as the bad guy, I have no idea if it's actually being monitored or not. I just hear the alarm going off. So I have no idea. I just know I hear alarm going off. I'm going to have limited time to go into this house, right? It's kind of like another tidbit that wasn't on the slide was beware of dog signs. Even if you don't have a dog, like just throwing that on the fence could be a deterrent because me as a bad guy trying to go into a backyard, like I don't know if you have a Chihuahua, I don't know if you have a Doberman, like and make that chance of going to that backyard because I don't know what kind of dog I'm going to run into. Before we we have a golden doodle, so I mean it's the most like like soft dog you'll ever come in. Like they'll act all mean, but they'll come up to you and start licking your face. But if we have a beware dog sign on our fence, just because like they could, because when you knock on our door, she'll act all bad, and she sounds mean. But as soon as you open the door, it's like tail wag, some of that. But as a bad guy, they don't know that. All they hear is a dog inside, and they have no idea what kind of dog it is. But sorry, I went off on a tangent a little bit. The alarm systems, like even putting like the stickers so that like protected by Ring, protected by I've even seen people where they don't even have an alarm in the house, but they'll hit up ADC and spend like $10 by putting the stakes in the front yard saying protected or monitored by ADT or Brink or whatever it is. Just so that is some kind of deterrence there.
Thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
So I had one comment. I think the similar question, I think Commissioner Shashi already asked that. So with respect to this report, anything that, you know, if we just put a color code, right, you know, that is it like red, what is your sense, and how we can improve better? What are the helps is needed? Anything, anything, where you see the improvement spot here,
As far as
the crime report?
But for lowering the crime rate,
The
Oh,
crime
got it.
statistics that have shown like last 4 years or 5 years.
yes.
What is the spot you see that the improvement opportunity and we should focus on? Just from your expertise and your all this experience.
I'll have to get back on you that. I mean, it sounds like a cop out answer, but it's just something that I'll have to get a little bit more in depth into, right? And talk to Captain Valenzuela, see what he's done in the past, what's worked and what hasn't worked. Because I've been out of this division for a little bit. I mean, I was a sergeant out here for 2 years, but last year I was in an audit task force, and then now I'm back, and now I'm in a different role too, where I can have those little deeper conversations rather than just worrying about my patrol team. So I just have to have a different conversations with Captain, see what his thoughts are, what he's tried, and then we can kind of game plan and go from there. Does that make sense? Because I don't want to like say something that's already been tried and true and then it not work, rather than kind of move the ball forward rather than taking 2 steps back.
so if I may suggest, Mr. Chair, boss, maybe we should broaden that action item, so areas of improvement, right, where we can focus, and also what resources or like how do we increase the patrols, right? Everything is like tied to each other.
Yeah, I
If we
think
can get some recommendation from the sheriff's office at next meeting.
totally agree. And I'm hoping again that probably, will align with the next agenda, that, because that's where I think it will be.
More suspense on the next item.
Yeah, I think that's what, I think,
Okay.
maybe we should move on to the next one. I think this one. probably-
I think it's oriented.
Through the chair, we do have public comment on this item.
Okay.
Okay,
Go ahead and go to the public comment.
okay, sure.
We have 2 speaker cards for this item. The first speaker will have 3 minutes.
Okay, sure.
First of all, thank you both of you. The presentation was very insightful. Thanks a lot again. One thought, Sheriff, to your presentation is, you talked about social media and how burglars are using social media.
Mhm.
And being a technology guy, this came to my mind that we use technology the other way around, how to improve safety in the community.
Mhm.
And also safety is a public sport. It is, yes, you lead us, but it is also community's job to be more aware about it. And I'm glad, like I saw some of the presentation from her, which I didn't even know about it. So thank you for sharing that. So first question I have for you is that the presentation you shared, is it okay to share in the community WhatsApp group? I believe this is the public document, we can share it. Because we share lots of things on our WhatsApp community. Personally, I'm connected to thousands of households in the city.
Mhm.
All we talk about whenever the bad things happen, we talk about it. But we don't talk about like how to prevent it too much. That is human nature. We talk about crime more than prevention of the crime. So is it okay if we share your document in such public forum or social media? Is that okay?
Yeah, anytime we do these neighborhood watch programs, I bring printed copies because it's usually I don't have access to a computer, so I go off of a flip chart. I hand those out, and then if people want the PDF version, I get their emails and I share to usually the block leader, so that way they can disperse it amongst the neighborhood. So yeah, I mean, all the crime statistics are public information anyways, and then the crime prevention tips are, I mean, nothing confidential, so it's just knowledge for you guys to help each other out.
Thank you very much. And second question is how you'd like to know, like my commission would like to know how the technology is used by your department. Maybe that would be, I don't know, how do we request that? So we would like to understand how the technology is used.
As far as like what we have in the patrol cars to like what we utilize in the field.
Are you guys I understand that you have got camera registration program, for example. Do we know how many neighbors have registered for that? Can we help in way to increase the registration? We have got safety cameras on the traffic signal. How do you guys monitor?
Mhm.
Is it possible, maybe that is a question for you, is it possible for you to come to our commission and make us understand how do you use the technology for safety?
I mean, that's something we can explore, yeah, and come to it. I mean, there's some things, yeah, I mean, that's something, if that's what you would like to do, yeah.
And I've got one very quick question for you.
Mhm.
What does block mean? Is it a 10 home, 20 home?
It's the street block
But the street
So
would be very
between-
long,
between two cross streets.
between two cross street. Thank you.
I do have one question for you though.
Yeah, sure.
Oscar Piastri or Landon Norris?
Yes.
Well, because we were in the McLaren at.
Thank you. I got it.
Don't have a favorite driver?
Yeah.
No, which one do you like, Norris or Piastri? Piastri? Okay.
All right, so we do have another public comment for this item. Welcome. And then if I just, so during public comment, an opportunity for the public to voice their questions, concerns, and provide their comments. And then we can ask, or follow-up can happen afterwards. So we'll let the public speak for the 3 minutes and then it'll come back to the commission for commissioner comments after.
Sorry.
Yeah. So just a comment for the Public Safety Commission is the block leader program, actually, you can call, I had called the neighborhood watch. You can schedule neighborhood watch for using block leader program. Also, you can schedule emergency preparedness. Also, you can schedule sustainability and Cupertino green stuff. So all the three is available actually through block leader program for the block party or the get together you have. The second thing I just wanted to ask was, is there a map to show where the flag cameras are going? Is it available online?
I feel like in the earlier.
I believe that's available on the city website.
Sorry,
I believe that's available on the city website. You can check. Yeah.
is
Oh,
there?
So now you can continue with your questions and then we can come back after.
Okay. So that's the one question. Question number two is, so there are two types of camera when you guys talked. One is the plate reader and the other is, there is one more type of camera, which is in the city already. Or all we are talking about is LPR, the plate reader.
Okay, Sonali, are you yielding the rest of your time?
And so I have one more comment. When Chair Nirmal, he was asking actually about so we would like to know how we can help. So there are two parts to the public safety, especially when it's considers residential burglary or even grand theft for that.
Mhm.
Because some of them can be prevented, like you don't have your bicycle lying around, you have it in the garage, right?
Mhm.
But so one is the prevention part where residents can do it, but then the other part is solving the crimes, right? And always I got the vibe from a lot of people, it's not just me, that it's next to impossible to solve these crimes. And I would like to know why. So I would like to know the follow-up of the crime. So I was actually about to wait till your update report, because if I come to next time to the commission, I would like to see in first quarter of 2025, if there are 20 burglaries that happened, what happened after that?
Mhm.
Right? So I would like to see an update to know, like, okay, 10 of them had this thing happen, 20 of them this thing happened, something like that. So just like, because I'm a software engineer, I do when I do project, I have milestones, right? So milestone one is you talk to the business, something like that. So you have a milestone saying, okay, the report was filed.
Mhm.
Then, okay, I spent say 20 hours on investigation.
Mhm.
Then I said, spend some more time on this. So something like buckets like that, I would like to see, so that the people around me and the city people will actually be aware, and that's what I think I talked to you last time also. Like, what is going on? Because if we don't get any communication back, we don't even know what is going on with our case. And then we also very frustratedly give up on it. Right?
Sonali, that is the end of your turn. Chair, do you have any questions?
No, I think we discussed enough, lot of this. I am hoping that the next topics we can discuss them over there. Very similar topics in the third agenda that we.
Was oral communications
I think we.
for this topic?
Right now.
Okay.
I can follow up. Okay, so the next item is, this is a new business. This is the subject is basically we have a discussion on a proposal to combat the public safety concerns such as the threat, burglary, vandalism and threat that we talked a lot here. And then also so discuss a proposal of the, on this, and then potentially we see that how we can form a subcommittee, because this meeting happens pretty infrequently given the public, safety concerns we have. And that committee, can be a with a subset of this commission and as well as the residents from the Cupertino city. And if we can form a committee and they can go and discuss some of these things and gather some of this data and also give us some potential suggestion that what are the ways that we can improve some of the crime handling, and as well as how commission can help also. They can give some recommendation. So that's the next topic. And yeah, so I welcome a discussion here on that topic. So we discussed a bunch of topics, bunch of areas of this already today. With that in mind, I will say that if we can form a commission, and I want to propose a commission for this, a subcommittee for this commission to assist us, so that we can gather more information and they can assist us in this one.
And through the chair, I don't want to limit conversation. I just wanted to let you all know. Blue Force, you had a hard stop time of 8:45.
Yes,
Alright, so just so that we're all aware.
Okay.
I gotta be at the academy early in the morning, so.
So yeah, so that is the topic right now. So we can have a first we want to have first anybody has any comment on this from the commission, that creating a subcommittee and to address some of the things that we could not take action item last time. I said that as a part of the subcommittee, we can investigate further and get those data. So what is the suggestion opinion?
I guess, so is the concept of a subcommittee, like, is that like a vehicle that can be used to like meet more frequently? Is that the?
Meet more frequently, and they can go and deep into, let's say, you want to understand some process that how this reporting happens to be when the crime happens, the progression, why it is not happening, and how that can be done better. What is the case resolution,
Right.
is basically what happens to the cases.
Right.
Then if you want to things like that, let's say last meeting in Sweden, but we discussed this, that every neighborhood, every home right now virtually has camera. But literally, like when a crime happened in opposite to our home, that day the sheriff came to my home, my camera was off basically. Towards the facing street. So we were saying that instead of the $15,000 camera that the license plate reader, how we can have a connected neighborhood and other kind of, in the neighborhood, we can say that, okay, each one, fix the camera facing the street on the other house, and then that way, if they feel comfortable, right? And we can reach out to that, how we can use the more technology. So many other things can be part of this, and this subcommittee can, branch out and find this information, meet more frequently.
Right.
And give some recommendation.
Right. Or yeah, I guess like I was wondering, like, so then I guess the main issue is that like that we all recognize with like the commission, like infrequent meetings, that kind of thing is like, it's very different probably than what we're used to when it comes to like doing things and fulfilling tasks and outside of commission stuff. So like, I'm just curious, like, is the subcommittee model like something that allows, like, is it privy to like Brown Act, for example? I guess like, how does that work? Cause like, I guess that's the main kind of,
I can take a shot at that, just
Okay.
having been on a committee, subcommittee
Yeah.
before, and as well on the
Okay.
commission.
Correct.
So as long as you don't have 3 commissioners
okay,
under any circumstance on that subcommittee, if you
Mhm.
have 2 commissioners, there is no Brown Act.
I
It's the
see.
same, but right now we're only 4.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Madam Chair, if I may, just clarify for everyone.
Yeah.
So per the Brown Act, a subcommittee falls under a temporary advisory committee.
Yes.
It's composed solely of less than a quorum, so that would mean 2 commissioners within your own advisory body, so that would mean the Public Safety Commission. That serves a limited or single purpose, that is not perpetual, and that will be dissolved once its specific task is completed, is not subject to the Brown Act. So the subcommittee, I believe that Chair Doss is proposing is that the subcommittee would go out into the community, serve its purpose to talk to residents, the community members, gather that input and feedback, and bring those updates back to the commission. And then at the end of that, and I think Chair Dawes, if I recall correctly, we're hoping that this subcommittee would be, I believe, for roughly 3 months.
Yes.
And so it is limited in time. And so following the end of that subcommittee, time of which the research is being done, the subcommittee would then come to commission and present their findings and provide recommendations to city staff as well as the county. So that will be the subcommittee and just some regulations around it, but it is for a sole purpose and in time in order to not fall within the ground.
Okay,
Not violate.
got it.
So that means they can go and meet more frequently. And
Right. Yeah.
Any comments?
Yeah, I just have a question again about the subcommittee.
Mhm.
And that is that when we had previous subcommittees, it was really just a staff person, and commissioners. Can we involve residents into the subcommittee?
So the residents wouldn't be formally part of the subcommittee. They're essentially, the subcommittee's purpose is to go out into the community and talk to the residents about, whatever it is that you guys end up deciding today is your purpose for that subcommittee. So the residents aren't technically formally a part of your subcommittee because the subcommittee itself is the 2 commissioners who are part of the advisory body. But it doesn't limit you going out into the public, talking to the residents and gathering that input and feedback. You are then bringing it back to your commission. But they're not formally part of your subcommittee. So you're not, you wouldn't motion today to form a subcommittee with residents on your subcommittee. It's just going out and you're talking to the residents.
I mean, ideally, like, right, so.
It's not public comment yet.
Public comments, not, you can grab a comment card though, if you would like to speak on it when.
I'll remember.
So are we, like, you have some goal, the specific objective?
Yes,
Like,
I think, I think, this is I saying something like, when we read it out, some suggestion of the committee, if it is potential.
Yes, so the subcommittee that Chair Doss is proposing is to collect input and understand current limitations and challenges in enforcement / resolution of issues and proposals from the community to combat public safety concerns such as theft, burglaries, vandalism, threats, etc. The outcome that the subcommittee is hoping to achieve is to recommend proposals to combat public safety concerns such as theft, burglaries, vandalism, threats, etc. Specifically by leveraging technologies and other resident-focused programs that we have. And the estimated timeframe is 3 months.
So just to quickly summarize bullet points, it's 1, we want to go and figure out if there's any technology that would help. 2, we want to poll the residents to see if, what other ideas, is it increasing the budget, is it something else, and figure out ideas. So 1 from a technology perspective and just 1 from an open, what do you think?
No, open means, no, first one is the basic gathering the information, because we are clearly, I feel that, there is a missing part here. For example, today's, when, what Sherry presented, right? The data looks to 2024 is better, right? That's a deeper green, right? But we know that hard personally also, we know on many situations that our, from the burglary and the incidents that happened, we're not feeling that great,
Safe.
right? I'm living in Cupertino for a long time right now. And I feel that 5 years ago or 10 years ago, then right now, I feel a little bit unsafe, right? And whatever reason, right? Now somehow this data is not matching. So I think it will be good to understand that the cases basically that what exactly happens to the cases, maybe, this further more communication to the residents will help understand that where is the limitation. If this is all green, then why we are feeling unsafe? Then we understand deeper into it, right? That's understanding understanding the data and work with sheriff's office also, right? More closely and getting the data out of that, right?
So will the subcommittee have get enough time from the sheriff's office?
Yes, I think I wanted to request that if, maybe there are two commissioners from the Public Safety Commission can be in that subcommittee and sheriff's office, sheriff can partnership, sheriff will be part of that. And they will reach out to some of the public who has experience, for example, Ravi or Shunali or Mark, they all have very experience. He's in the, technology commission. Shunali is very active in the community. Mark has like so much experience. He was, in this commission earlier. So I think gathering this, their suggestion and involving them into this, that will be great. And the second part is after the gatheration of the data, second part I wanted to reach that what we can do to little bit better and help the sheriff's office. For example, right, any other technology, suggestion that we can do or any other limitation, like for example, sheriff said he's going to give us the information that, do they feel that is there any room for opportunity improvement? What are those room improvement opportunity? Where and how? And that data, if we can get out and bring it to the commission, then we can instrument, we can go to council, we can advocate for those changes, right? That is the second part of it. And the other aspect is basically, I think, is one is the data collection, another is the, getting the recommendation, and the other aspect, I believe I had some communication with the city manager on this one. It was discussed last meeting also that we want to give a deep dive data gatheration, for example, that some of the case study happened, burglary case study happened, what exactly happened there. So when I interacted on that with the city manager's office and the responses finally came down, digging through this data needs time, and that time was also not available, from the sheriff's office to staff, enough staffing there. So that's a limitation. So then that limitation should come out. The sheriff's office does it need more budget, right? And why that data gatheration is a challenge to understand a little more one level, deeper into it. So that will be a scope of this committee. Another part is that we discussed on this one also earlier. For example, right now what I understand that 42,000 hours of budget that gets spent by the city for sheriff's office, that the budget gets allocated, something like that, right? Mark 42,000, it was the number was quoted by Pamela, who I remember last meeting, but I may be wrong, I may be off, but I remember that number, I think 42,000 or something like that, right? Now, so that budget, right, the distribution of the time and the budget, which area going, how much time, that budget is going and the enforcement is going, right? Maybe just take a look on that data and work with sheriff's office, see that any allocation, reallocation, any adjustment is needed on that, any tuning is needed, any suggestion that, that can come out of it, right? That can be a recommendation. So those data are not super, crisp coming right now. So I'm hoping that, with this subcommittee, we'll study these areas and come up with the data.
I like the idea, but I don't know how it will work out. I was never part of a subcommittee.
I was never part of the subcommittee. I think, Commissioner Shashi, you were there. So I think there are other people. I think Martha and Jessica can help us, guide us. I think, we.
So, but there is a lot of I mean, this is a great idea, and I'm not by any chance saying we should not have the subcommittee. My question is if we can have more simplified, my recommendation would be
Yeah.
that we have one goal or two goals at
Yeah.
the max. Like, we might have to have this type of subcommittee more often.
More often.
More
Yeah,
often.
Yeah, which is.
So we
okay.
can start with,
Yeah.
you know, let's
Let's-
break up this big pie.
Yeah, and then
And so start with, let's say,
one or two goals, yeah.
right now, the budget is whatever it is. For your information, let's just take the 42K as the budget, for which we get X number of hours of patrolling from the sheriff's office.
Mhm.
Is if we can analyze where that patrolling is being done,
Mhm.
is that, you know, we do need people to go by the schools and make sure that the kids are safe.
Mhm.
You know, because they're crazy drivers, we all know that.
Yeah.
So then there is the other part that after that, how much money is being spent on actually patrolling the city.
Mhm.
So if we can, you know, start with something,
Yeah.
something there, because 3 months goes by pretty quickly.
Yeah,
And we have to get
we should be,
resources from the sheriff's
Yeah.
department as well. So that's one. Then the second thing we can look at is, okay, let's take of all the cases, like most recent cases, how much further have we progressed as far as resident? Maybe it hasn't progressed because it is difficult to,
Mhm.
you know, but there was a case where they got hold of one gang of thieves, and then they recovered a whole bunch of property from them. And I think it was in the general area. And then we can start from a recommendations perspective of saying, okay, where is the data for, what was the data before the LPRs were installed
Mhm.
to, in a given city,
Mhm.
or given, you know, whatever number of cities we want to take, and say, where are we now?
Mhm.
You know, over a 3 month period, 6 months period, just so that all of the three things that you mentioned,
Yeah.
we're gonna have a smaller goal within that,
yeah, I'm
otherwise
totally
it
okay,
becomes.
yeah, I'm totally okay, just let's prioritize one or two goal from here, and
Yes.
just keep that goal right now.
Yes.
And then you can go from it.
Go ahead.
Totally.
Yeah,
Go first.
I think maybe like, I think one like very specific goal that I think, like a single goal that I think we can maybe make the subcommittee focus on is like deeply understanding like what the bottlenecks are slash needs are at like the sheriff's office level.
Mm,
Like just that. Because like I have a sense that if it kind of like broadens to like other things, like also trying to find the solutions and stuff,
mm,
then the first thing is not going to be investigated correctly.
mm.
So like, for instance, just like a teaser, I think we got like a teaser of it in the sense of the, like, there's maybe not enough resources or not enough like man hours to do investigations as well as
Take
like,
the report
yeah,
and
like,
do the
kind of focus on
patrolling.
the follow-up and stuff, which is
Yeah.
equally important to like the feeling of safety, right?
Mhm.
So that's just a teaser, right? Like we got a sense of that, right, from what we heard. So that I think is the thread that we need to pull on and like deeply figure out like what other like of these kind of core bottlenecks there are, just simply that the sheriff's office is facing, right? And like we'll have to speak with them and understand like what their needs are, do ride-alongs, like figure out what exactly is like the daily experience. Just deep dive on that. And then like utilize the subcommittee as like a mechanism to do that fast, right? Just that one. And then like we come back and then we have like a true listing of those needs, bottlenecks. That's a win. Like we don't need to do 2 and 3 for it to be a win. Like just do that one thing really well. Then we'll be in an actual productive position to like then come up with ideas.
And in that,
Stuff like
in that finding that bottleneck, it automatically brings some of this in the discussion anyway, because.
Some of the recommendations will fall out or.
Well, even if not recommendation, what I'm saying that the understanding the data, allocation of the budget, this is all come in the discussion of that.
Yeah, after
That
the,
deeply understanding the,
Yeah.
where is the bottleneck, I
Like,
think,
yeah.
I think that's. Yeah, if we keep that goal and then underneath that, all these things will be discussed anyway.
Exactly, right.
Because
Like-
they're all connected, you know, this is not.
Yeah, like I think the focusing on like one thing will do us a lot of good because otherwise it'll just be kind of like.
We're trying to
talking
dip our
from-
hands. into
Exactly, yeah.
yeah, I mean, we don't want to dilute.
Right,
I mean, like, I see in my regular work, they call it uncompromised goal. We want to give one goal, that's it.
Yeah, let's do that, and then after that, we can, based on the data, our understanding will be probably better. And based on that, we can make more, collective discussion at that point of time. What are the next steps, right? What are the recommendations?
Sorry, point of clarification or through the chair, if I may. So it's sounding like the subcommittee purpose or goal is kind of morphing into something, I believe, different than kind of what you had proposed. From what I understand, I think you guys are hoping to form a subcommittee that would require like resources from the sheriff's office, correct? Like you would want to gather information from the sheriff's office, not necessarily the residents, correct?
No, this is falls into the first point that I say,
Yeah.
the collection of the data. So this is basically the first thing, what's citizen
We can't do anything without the data.
data. So this is actually the first point that I said, understanding and collection of the data. That is the part we are keeping right now. And
Or I guess like the
and
sub.
understand the problem basically, that's
Yeah.
where we
So I guess the next step for that would be, what would it take to get some kind of time from the sheriff's office in order to participate in the subcommittee? Because without your data,
Mhm.
10 of us can gather together, it doesn't matter.
It would just depend on what kind of data you're looking for. I mean, I know briefly looking at the city budget, I know it is budgeted by like traffic, school resource officers and regular patrol.
Mhm.
So I mean, that would give you the data as far as like how much is allotted to each one of those. As far as like how many hours are spent in patrol, that would probably be data like would be a little bit tougher to glean just because that one I would get back to it on. I don't know if we'd be able to do that, just basically straight patrol hours, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess like if I may, like, I think, so I guess to summarize, like, I think the subcommittees, and correct me like if I'm wrong, like, I think the subcommittee's purpose is to deeply understand like what the sheriff's office feel are like bottlenecks. Because ultimately, like, public safety concerns are like downstream of that, right? Whether it's like follow-ups or etc. So in order to figure out that, like, I think it actually isn't just like numerical data that we get back. I think it also involves like members of the subcommittee like doing things like ride-alongs and like speaking with actual officers, because that's the only way, like, I think truly we're gonna, there's like a phrase like anecdata, right? Like, I think anecdata is actually what we need, because that's how we actually get at I guess the emotional.
True.
Feeling
So
of, like,
exactly
what's the
that.
bottleneck.
So there's a perception and then there's the reality.
There's the reality.
Right? The reality seems to be that it's going down. But somebody who has their home burglarized, that is not a reality for them. Their reality is their home is burglarized.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the stats say.
Mhm.
Their home has been burglarized, they go into their home, their kids go into their home, they're gonna be uncomfortable going in, they're not safe anymore, doesn't matter what the stats say. So our concern is that how do we get that feeling of safety back into the people? And in order to do that, yes, we might have to do ABC. And one of the things you're suggesting is, ride-alongs. Now, there is a legal aspect to riding along because you're as a citizen, we're risking the sheriff's office, we're risking ourselves because we don't know what situation that would be in. So regardless, I mean, some of that data that we have to proceed, we have to look at is something that, yes, interviewing these different people from the sheriff's office to understand what they do, that's a very good idea. That can be looked at. But specifically, what else we can do, it's something we have to figure.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go so far as writing because that's a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, the sheriff can comment better on that, but.
Well, anybody can go on a ride along. I mean, anybody, whether you're applying, whether you're just a person in the community, anybody can do it. I mean, you just have to pass a very like minimal background check to make sure you're not like a bad guy that's trying to hurt us while we're out there and about it. But I mean, I did plenty of ride-alongs as a deputy with people, and it was anybody from who was applying to a district attorney to a just person who wants to see what we do.
Okay,
And if I had the understanding, and I think most people do, is if it's say a situation comes up where it's going to be like, I don't know if I can protect you, is like, hey, I always had the understanding, if I get one of those calls, I'm gonna drop you off in a public place and I'll come back. Like, cause I just can't.
Take
risk
you along for the ride, yeah.
But part of the paperwork is I kind of waive liability, but I just want to do it one step further by not having to put that person. And I would tell people to wait in the car. Hey, wait in the car until I tell you it's okay to come out.
So I, it's a great discussion, but I'm thinking maybe we should give enough time for the sheriff's office to come, give us some of the data before we collaborate with them to find those pain points or the whatever the areas of like to gather the additional data. So, like we discussed, maybe whatever the areas of improvement, where they think that okay, like adding this many patrols, extra patrols will bring down the crime rate. Let's say that is one of the recommendation comes from the sheriff's office. Like that, let's get the data first, right? And then we can frame the uncompromised goal for the subcommittee that based on what we receive. Right now, if we form a goal and we don't know how we are going to collaborate with the sheriff's office, I think it may dilute, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think one of the things is that finding that data, like for example, a couple of data that we talked about, right? One is basically the allocation of the time and the resources. That is one part of the data. Second part of the data is the crime when it happened, how the case is getting handled, that the case is getting communicated so that the perception of the reality this matches or not. This is the second part of the data. And third part of the data is the sheriff's office idea that what is the sheriff's office is thinking that what are the other improvement possibility where we can help, you know, to improve better, right? So these three aspects, right? I believe that if these three aspects is basically data collection. Now, today, if you look at the data collection, also a little bit slow in the process point of view. And we feel that, at least I feel that like the subcommittee will not be part of this Brown Act. It will be a smaller, set of, they can freely communicate and faster response we can get, faster data mining can happen. And I think that kind of will frame basically what Sid is saying, that deeply understanding that what is needed, basically understanding that. I think just keeping that. Then by that time, our next meeting in 2 months, right? Within 3 months, we pull up this thing and then we can get this data and it will be a more effective meeting, I think.
Through the chair.
So the first part of the data that you mentioned, the allocation of costs and of hours, that is included in the sheriff's office budget as proposed costs. That is a public document, and that particular appendix to the contract was sent out to the commission members after the last commission meeting.
It is the location of the
Of hours.
The hours allocation.
Yes.
Yeah, like I said before, like it breaks down traffic, school resource officers, just regular patrol. It breaks it down that way.
Right.
So I think I like your point, Mr. Chair Das. I think I think it's a very right on track. Maybe I think the first phase of that subcommittee should be working with the city staff to understand the existing data sources. Maybe already there is data in some places in city website, sheriff's website, or some contract, right? So first get all the data. Right now, like when we meet, we are not. I mean, sometimes I don't know all the data, right? Like when somebody was a resident asking for LFA map, I know that I've seen that, but I don't have immediate pinpoints. Maybe the city staff has that. Martha may be having that. Maybe the subcommittee first step, right? We define the uncompromised goal, and the first step should be working with the city staff to further refine what is the areas, like what are their action items, like 10 action items, and with the goal that they should give an update in the 2 months from now.
Yeah, that was the whole idea that the subcommittee can basically
But
do some of this data gatheration and discussion on this data also going on faster.
faster.
Because right now, for example, this meeting happens every 2 months and it's very difficult to get this forum and getting this data, right? So I think it can be, they can communicate over other media and understand and that data.
So does city staff can give the time for the subcommittee?
So Subcommittees do work independently from commission meetings as well as city staff operations. So they should require minimal staff time.
Let's say,
Yes, but they do participate. So there is a certain level of commitment that we expect from the city staff. On
Right.
this, at least from my previous subcommittees that I've had, where I was on the Parks and Rec Commission, as you know, and we used to have our director actually directly participate in the subcommittees. And she did have a certain, not significant, but enough time that she was able to participate. This was before Rochelle Sanders, the lady.
I would need to follow up with Rochelle after the meeting to see if this is possible. As you know, the emergency management department, we are short, it's just SmartTech. And we have one part-timer, so it is very limited staff currently. So I would need to follow up and get back to you.
But you guys reported to Rochelle or you guys reported to the city manager?
To Rochelle. So the Office of Emergency Management, Emergency Services is now under Parks and Recreation.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think like in this matter, like it's even possible, I think, like it would be possible theoretically, even like in a capacity as like a public citizen to like get this information that we're looking for. So I think the purpose of the subcommittee or like what the subcommittee should do is like actively do the kinds of like information gathering that would actually otherwise be difficult. So like, for example, like, when it comes to like data and like budget, those are things that are actually, it is easy to actually get that information, right? Like we get the reports from the office. We can see the budget document online, but the things that are actually like difficult to get, I think are the things that the subcommittee needs to like prioritize. And like, I keep saying ride-alongs, but the reason I keep saying that is because I genuinely think like there's no substitute for hearing it like straight from like the officers' mouths. Like to understand like what they actually go through and work backwards from there. Because that I think is like actually what we're trying to do, right? Because like ultimately our goal is presumably to make some kind of like policy or idea prescription to council and presumably like talk about that to the public. But for us to get there, we need to tap into like some sort of deeper source of information or truth. And the only way we can do that is by like just diving in head first and like going to these kind of like asymmetric like data sources, right? Whether it's like ride-alongs or going to the sheriff's office and talking to Captain Valenzuela, like understanding what his needs are, that kind of thing. And I think that should actually be the singular purpose of the subcommittee, because if we can accomplish that one thing correctly, then it actually puts us at least on the path to eventually making good policy prescription.
Yeah.
Whereas if we're, you know, like if we're kind of
Yeah.
thinking about different things and also trying to come up with solutions on the fly, like then we're not actually making net progress, right? I think so, I guess TLDR is like the subcommittee's focus should simply be figuring out the problems directly from the sheriff's office. I think that should be like the simple goal.
So I'll make a compromise kind of suggestion.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we can request, maybe, you can take this back to Rochelle. If we can request maybe about 5 to 8 hours from the city
so
staff over the period of
3 months.
3 months, where we request information, we would like to get that information within a day or two, kind of, if it is possible. We don't want to say, if we ask a question, we hear 1 month later, that's not going to be useful for us. So we have to have some kind of some reasonable answer, some reasonable thing. So we'll get about a few hours from the city. We will put into plan, like we will spend some time with the sheriff's department so we can get real information. Again, we will limit how much because again, it's their time, right? If that's outside of what they're already doing, or if we can, like to say, ride along. I can't imagine, but.
I mean, it's quite fun. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
Maybe I'll try it, I don't know. But the bottom line is if we can combine those two and start with the simple goal of what is the data that we are missing?
Yeah. So
And
maybe we should talk on that also, that if the understanding that you are saying underneath basically what are the data, at least top three data. And then we say that, okay, let's focus on that and then from the committee based on that.
sound like a plan?
Because we wanted to take action item with a bunch of stuff, right? So we can just focus on some of those data, right? At this point, no. Because the whole discussion started, my understanding is that, okay, there are, some of the crimes happen and crimes are happening and we are not feeling safe. We are
Right.
not, so now from that point of view, what action is being taken on that? To understand the deeply that process that you are saying, right? To understand that process, right? Maybe that's one aspect of it. Second aspect is the budget and the time allocation parts of. Yes, I saw the report that was saying, but the thing is, with that report having an understanding and discussion that based on this, the statistic that we have seen here, that 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 the time and the effectiveness of that basically, is it matching or not basically? That the time we are spending on this bucket versus this bucket. And what is the output we are getting, studying that data and discussing on that. So
Right.
that itself would be.
Yeah, exactly. So if you take 10 years ago, what was the budget?
Yeah.
So now what is the budget?
And the third part is basically, getting from sheriff's office basically. What they are thinking the improvement opportunity there. Or we are all good, we don't to take any improvement.
Any more
opportunity,
further
any more
action.
further action. What they feel, what is that sentiment, that also part of it, that what he is saying. When you go to the ride along, you will get to see firsthand what is going on there, right? What is the experience there, right? So we have to hear from sheriff also, what else they need basically. Right? For example, I am not personally happy that the 15 camera is still not installed yet, we don't have the data, and this is going on for 1 year.
Yes. at
Right,
least.
1 year
At
is
least.
basically a startup gets in Silicon Valley established, they deliver product, they sell their company, $1 billion company. And the 15 camera installation, I don't understand where is the bottleneck.
Yeah.
So that is also deeply, when you say deeply understanding why things are so slow. So that's understanding that also will be good. Maybe these three things we can keep as a part of the first part. I think that will answer some of the questions that we can get, right?
I still think it's important to only focus on one thing. Like, even though all three things like sound great
No,
and
what is the one
are
thing
like,
So just can you repeat back what you think are the three things and then which is the one thing that you want to?
yeah, so I think the one thing that the subcommittee should focus on is simply figuring out what the sheriff's department needs, like what their top 10 needs are.
Okay.
That's it. Like, if we can profoundly accomplish that goal beyond what, like, say, a public citizen could discover,
Mhm.
I think that's a.
And what sheriff needs, that was my third point actually, that the understanding from them their pain point
Yeah,
and what they think the improvement opportunity,
yeah,
that's what the sheriffs need, that was my
Yeah.
third point. So you are saying make that as a singular point.
yeah,
Now, how do we get that data? What is the basically the?
right. So I think that would be like part of the subcommittee's.
This is
mission.
little bit subjective, right? What the need means now, there can be 5 things underneath, right?
Sure.
So that's something we have to now go in the more specific. So you are saying, let's keep it a little bit broad here, what they need, and then we discuss with sheriff
So
as well as we also being a part of the discussion.
Yeah, so like I think just like maybe like like riffing, like it's possible that at the end of that investigation, right? Like the results that we have might not even be in the form of hard numbers. It'll be like anecdotes. It'll be like oh, like I wish I had X, or like I wish we did a better job of, you know, advertising the academy to like high schoolers, right? Like just like random
It could be
anecdotes,
that
right?
also.
So like that, even though it is like subjective and maybe one officer said it, other officers didn't, that in and of itself is still a valuable truth, right?
I feel see what you are saying here is that you actually you are keeping it a simple one statement, what sheriff's office need, but it's little more abstract and underneath there are a lot of things we can discuss. So one way that is, I like it the one way that way. It is we are keeping that scope broad instead of that going to one specific report or one specific angle of the data.
Yeah, mainly
Because this
because
might-
we ourselves don't know.
We
right?
ourselves, there
Yeah.
will be one thing leads to another, I think.
So in context to that, should we make the time frame shorter? So we don't wait 3 months to figure out
Sure.
what it is we need,
2 months.
but come back,
Before
come back to the next.
Before the next meeting. then
And
you can
have a
better
report by
discuss.
the next meeting
Yeah.
that says, here's what we found out. Maybe it isn't anything much, maybe it is something.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. Yeah, sure.
And if needed, we can do more. Again, another study, we can do something
Yeah.
like that. It's more of a study, session, understanding this little more. And keeping it broad is not bad idea. Maybe there we can put some one statement, what sheriff's office need, and underneath that, we can, when discuss, we can discuss it.
If I could just put my 2 cents in,
Sure.
real quick, and I'll try to make it short. I know we're almost 8 o'clock.
I keep looking at the time.
So this is my perspective is that if you ask a bunch of cops what they need, like the first thing is gonna be like, well, more cops, like that's gonna be the number one, right? And that's kind of like out of both of our hands, right? Like that's like bigger decisions for the county as far as like staffing, so that. And if you don't know, public service in general is across the board is having staffing issues
Right.
stemming from the pandemic, the civil unrest, and that kind of stuff. Just a lot of good candidates don't want to be cops anymore, just because they'd rather go to different fields where they're not having, so you have that bad stigma of being a police officer. It's slowly swinging the other way, and we're seeing our numbers go up a little bit, but definitely not the numbers when I first started, where thousands of people applied for very small, limited spots. That's why I came from Sacramento down here, because the jobs were more plentiful down here rather than my area. But two, I believe that public safety is a team sport, so I think there is value getting the community involved and like seeing what they need from us as well. Because if you have never read it, the 2015 Commission on Community Policing by Barack Obama's task force, it's a bunch of pillars about community policing and like what they suggested working with the community could help out. And that was part of it, is kind of partnering with the community to see what they need from their police departments in order to move forward. So I believe there is value there. I mean, of course, the hot topics would be like, well, we need to stop burglaries. Okay, but like, we need a deep diver into that. Like, how do you think we can do it? Like, how would you need to see from the sheriff's office? For instance, at the coffee with the mayor, she pretty much hit like every one of my bullet points on preventing burglaries. And I was a little dumbfounded of suggestions. Like when you were hitting them all, like, I don't know what to tell you. But having maybe a little bit more conversations with the community, we can maybe come up with some solutions. Now, I would love to have a supercomputer like on CSI where I could just throw like stuff into it and it pops out like who my suspect is within 20 minutes. But that's just not feasible, not possible in this day and age. Maybe 20 years from now, maybe. But I think getting the community involved will help out us kind of make up some more solutions to that. Because if we just get the one perspective from the sheriff's office is going to have the full global picture of it. It's just going to basically like what tools or stuff that we think we need, but not necessarily that's going to benefit the community as well. That's just my two cents.
Totally agree. The second point that you said, community involvement, we touched upon that multiple times today, through block leader program.
Yeah.
Understanding that more, or neighborhood watch program,
Yeah.
how we can reach out better. So you are also saying the same line, right? I think as a part of that, what, sheriff's office need,
Mhm.
maybe with that, we can come up with a complete recommendation. Maybe you need to leverage these programs more effective way. And what is that basically? What is that pain point? How we can do effectively more these programs can be used or community reach out can happen more. So I think we are all aligning seems to
Yeah.
me.
And I'm just saying with the community input, they might bring a different perspective where it's just like, hey, like, we're noticing this.
Yeah.
And then us as a sheriff's office can be like, oh, okay, like I saw a tool or I saw a piece of
Yes.
software or I saw some kind of technology that is up and coming that maybe we can explore some of that we never thought of because we didn't see that blind spot in the community or whatever it is. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? So, and I think that's like I said, just having the global perspective will help out tremendously.
So in the
I
interest
think-
of time, do you
Yeah.
want to form the
Yes.
Yeah,
subcommittee?
I think.
We've been about the book quite a bit.
We love talking about.
If we could go to public comment.
Okay.
Okay, sure, please, yeah. Okay. Yes, sure,
Sorry.
sure.
We will have 3 minutes.
Good discussion. As I said, public safety is a team sport. So I didn't understand your comment. Now I understand. So that is MP has to work together. So we have to beat Red Bull this year. Okay, so on that topic, I think in the last mayor's meeting, we were talking about how to form the subcommittee. One proposal was, because we are forming a subcommittee too on public safety. One proposal was instead of every commission to form separate subcommittee, can we form a subcommittee with members across the commission?
Multiple commissions.
Can we do that? Yeah. So the answer was, it is not done yet, but the city attorney was there. And he said, like, from one commission, more than two members should not be there, but other commission can participate. So there, and I wanted this group, because we are the safety commission, I wanted this group to clarify that, can we form, instead of forming multiple, every commission forming a public safety subcommittee, can we form a subcommittee with members across the commissions, correct? So that will save lots of time. So one proposal is, obviously, we want you guys to lead that subcommittee so that we don't have to form a separate subcommittee on safety, correct?
Yeah.
We work very well, the subcommittee. We have got a subcommittee on cyber bullying, cyber crime. And we work very closely with industry, community, school, and also law enforcement. So we got our city staff is also very cooperative. We get data. The IT guys, correct? So they have the data warehouse, they get us data also, whatever data is available. So if we form this kind of cross-functional subcommittee, it will help us a lot, because then the city staff from TIC commission also can help providing the data to you, which is already there in the city data warehouse.
Yeah.
So there are lots of opportunity like this. So I was going to request, especially you, Chair Neil.
Yeah, I am totally.
Consider forming that cross commission.
Yeah.
Are you yielding the rest of your time?
Yeah.
Are you yielding the rest of your time?
Sorry, I'm.
Well,
You rest in public comment.
Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
So I think with the interest of the time, I think we have defined that goal, right? I think we should form a subcommittee for 2 months and
Yeah.
see how it is happening.
Yes.
And we can form another subcommittee
Yeah.
with a more detailed goal for when we meet next time.
Yeah.
Let's just proceed and let's document what is the goal, what is the output you're expecting, what are the resources like Shashi mentioned, right?
Yeah.
Let's proceed.
Any other public comment? Any other? So just to, just to respond quickly to you, my thoughts point of view on that, I think definitely the technology is probably the biggest leg or most important part will be part of the study and this thing, how that can be leveraged. And I totally personally want to see that someone from Technology Commission, and probably you, because you are here, is also part of this. And I don't know the process point of view that what is the exact structure of the cross commission, but no matter whatever the process is, I think I'm hoping that today, whatever the commission will form here or the subcommittee will form here, they work with the Technology Commission, and in every discussion, they are part of it and they engage with because this committee, what I heard, that we can include the citizens, right? Now whether it is a cross commission or any way, we should reach out and get their help and work it out together. Process point of view, I do not know that the cross commission structure officially what it means basically, but I like to see that if you can participate in this,
And I can also say that our commission and city members are also very cooperative, and we can get.
Perfect. So Marta, on this one is, Jessica, is there anything the cross commission level we can form, or it has to be two commissioner from here and others will participate as a resident?
I would need to follow up.
You need to follow up
Yeah.
on that, okay.
Yeah, so I guess we.
I think let's make a
Let's make a
decision.
decision.
I think let's make a decision right now. So my proposal will be basically, in that case, I don't want to wait it on this anymore
Yeah.
because we are waited enough. That's a good purpose. So my suggestion would be that form a committee with the two commission member today for a month of 2 months, and we take a little bit broader, one singular goal. What sheriff's office needs basically, what are the bottlenecks, what it needs, and underneath that, we can, it is primarily data gatheration and understanding what is needed. And with the two commission member can be part of it, and then also I want to see that today, all the participants that we have from the residents here and who wants to join part of this, and we include them as a part of this. And we make the committee today and make it for 2 months, and before 1 week before the next meeting, next commission meeting, it gets dissolved and they submit the report so that we can have at least 1 week time to study that and discuss it in the next meeting.
Okay.
So that's my
Okay,
proposal.
volunteers or what's the deal for this sub?
No, that's the next thing, but you all agree on that,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's, you want to vote?
Okay.
Can we vote on that?
To clarify. A 2-month period subcommittee focused on.
7 weeks.
Okay, focus on understanding what sheriff's office need and what are the bottlenecks.
Okay. And that's with the understanding that we don't know at this point if how much time the sheriff's office has. If
So that can be a report also, that can be a report that sheriff's office is too busy to share the information or they don't have time. And that can be a bottleneck.
okay,
That can be also a outcome.
And the same thing with the city.
So right,
okay, who would be the 2 members of the subcommittee?
so.
That's where
um,
it comes
Yeah,
from. Do we
So,
wanna ask
yeah.
for volunteers or?
yeah, so I want like, I don't want to be part of it. I want like, you all participated so actively, right? And,
He wants to write. So
Yeah.
you should-
Or,
Yeah.
so I have a quick question, actually. I remember like when I did the ride along, there was a thing that said that if I do the ride along, then I can't do it for like a year or something.
another item.
Yeah, I think there's like a rule like that in the form that I signed. So I think in the interest of the most information being gathered, it should be 2 members who are eligible for the ride along.
So when was the last time you got a ride along?
I did it in like February.
Oh,
Yeah.
This is last night.
Yeah, so like, Yeah.
I don't think ride along is a requirement, right? I mean,
No, no.
I think
He's
it's
saying-
imperative.
He's saying
It's
that,
imperative.
he's saying that
because-
if you go there, you'll have a better informed decision. He's saying that, that's why he's suggesting.
Yeah.
So I suggest.
he doesn't wanna do that.
I can do if other, people, if other commission members are not, is.
Unless there can be like an exemption, like unless like it's possible as part of the subcommittee, I can ride along.
That I'm not sure, I'll look into that one.
Okay,
You
alright,
don't
yeah.
have to do that.
So I will say this thing, so see, why don't you be part of the subcommittee? You already did the right along,
Sure.
so you can, that's a fresh,
Okay, yeah.
just a month back, right?
Yeah, yeah.
2 months back, right?
That's a
So
good
you
idea.
can document what you
You
learned.
can document what you learned and you
Sure.
can share, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
And there's another member, Ravi or Shashi, if you want to, please, but I don't want to do that, participate because I want,
want
like,
to-
I want your input also, right? And because I've already talked too much, because like,
no, I have very limited time, I'm sorry.
Okay. Like I
Shashi.
said, there was only so many people, so I didn't,
Shashi,
yeah, I
okay,
don't.
then Sidan, Shashi, you become part of this committee. Okay,
Right.
so thank you for that. And then any of the, city
Residents?
members.
I think this, we should not decide the residents, right? We
Okay.
should vote.
Through the chair, it is just, a subcommittee is just made up of 2 commissioners of your advisory body, so 2 public safety commissioners.
Yes, and also, subcommittee, I wanted to request sheriff's office also, if, Sean can
Get some
join.
help.
And as at least part of the committee and based on the time and the resources, they can join at the discussion. But without sheriff's office, I don't think this committee will be super effective, some sheriff's office members.
So formally, the subcommittee is currently today, what it will be is made up of 2 commissioners currently of your advisory body. The sheriff's office participation is, that's,
Okay,
Alright.
can we request?
we can-
it? I mean,
We can start with, he'll document what he knows and then I can, some other documentation, we'll come up with what we need. But we do know we will need some time from the city staff, which is something you will go back and check if you can afford to give us in the next, 2 months, you should be able to give us at least like 10 hours.
no, but if sheriff's office is not part of this.
So we'll make sure that the sheriff has already taken the action, I think, and the sheriff's are, I don't know, have you taken the action, sheriff, to say maybe you'll check if you can give us some time or?
Yeah, I mean, I could give you as much time as I can. I know Captain Valenzuela is super busy.
Okay.
So I could help you
So
guys
the-
out as much as I can.
So
We
this is,
can commit to be.
no, which is fine. So what I'm saying that my request is basically getting sheriff's office data, you have to go through the city manager's office or
Mhm,
another hall.
mhm.
If, if.
Direct line of
Someone can, can be participant of that, then you have direct communication.
Yes.
Lot more faster. Now, he can say, you know what, you asked me 10 questions, I don't have time, I answered you 2 questions.
Yeah.
Still that will help, I think.
Yes.
Being part of the committee, because you are trying to solve the problem for what help sheriffs of needed.
Right,
If sheriff's, office is not there, part of the committee, it may not be super effective. So I will
Yeah.
request you that if it is
Sure.
possible.
Well, I think she was mentioning that it's made up of, it would be made up of those two. And then I would participate as
as
much,
an advisor.
well, as much time as I can.
A best effort, yeah.
Yeah, I will help out as much as my time allots me.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
Based on your, as a best effort basis also, your name should be there.
No,
That way,
I-
basically, they can
Yeah.
reach out to you and
Yeah.
get this information. Right?
No, 100%. Like I said, team sport. I'm all,
Yes, exactly.
for-
Yeah.
I'm all for helping.
This is about the community and what, yeah.
Mhm.
exactly.
I
Fantastic.
think you've
Okay.
kind of run out of your time for today,
Okay.
so the,
I mean, I still need to give my report, but we still got about 45 minutes. So I think we're good.
A clarification on that the information requested from staff time. Just so that I can bring this back to Rochelle.
okay.
Just
Yeah, so basically, that when this committee works on this, right, they will be probably asking a lot of questions, lot of data, understanding, lot of process and the practices. Maybe you have to go and reach out to someone else to get that data. So 8 hours of, I think, Shashi.
Up to 8 hours with the.
8 hours of time. And so that when the information comes, let's say maybe a ET of 48 hours max, so that it is not like 2 weeks, it takes the data within, so something like that.
With 3 business days.
With the 2-3 business days, and 8 hours total time, if we can allocate for this.
Is this requesting data from the sheriffs?
No, this would be requesting data that is available within the city's archives.
Neighborhood program, all that.
Yeah,
Other
anything that ties to the neighborhood program and anything that's.
It can be getting data from sheriff's office also, I mean, no matter whatever the data is needed, basically, right?
Yeah, it could be, but ideally.
If something is-
Yeah.
Yeah, if something
It's
is
probably
available,
faster to
if
get.
something is available, you get
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, it can be any data, right, that is needed as a part of that process.
Okay, I'll have to follow up.
And
I
then
will ask.
to extend what one of the residents was saying is that we will then look at other commissions to see if they want to participate with us.
Yes, other commission or.
Like, for
I think
example.
that will complicate, right? They need to check and we won't be able to make a decision.
No, we
Yeah,
will
let's
go
keep,
ahead
let's
with-
keep it simple,
No, we'll go ahead with what we're doing, but if there is any,
Let's
they
back
should
as an
go
action item.
verify right now.
Action item.
If
No,
there is
we
any
can-
issue, yes, as an action item.
No, we can just say here that this is the, commission members and the sheriff, office member, they are part of the committee. And now you all decide, I think Rishi, you decide, and you reach out to the, other
For
commission
the-
member as a citizen, right? You
Okay.
reach out to the other citizen member,
Keep it in simple.
so that, hey, I want your input. We are calling a meeting to data gatheration, please help us.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
you include them as a part of that.
Good
That's
idea.
it.
That's it.
That's it is needed, that's that,
Okay.
then
I
it
think
keeps
we
it
can
open.
keep the ball rolling, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we.
I
What
think
is
we
it,
beat
Jessica?
this to death.
okay, I think, yeah. So Jessica, you got it, right? So basically,
The action item is clear, right, in future, but right now we are forming the committee that.
Yes, and if you need further assistance, one of us can tell you what. you need from us.
The purpose of the subcommittee that I have written is to investigate and understand the sheriff's office needs. The outcome is to report on the bottlenecks of the sheriff's office. Time frame is estimated to months.
Bottlenecks and improvements.
Yeah, all set, bottlenecks at this point.
And the 2 members would be the vice chair and commissioner.
yes. And they can include any residents as needed basis in this part of the study.
Okay, so do we have a motion to create a subcommittee made of the vice chair and Commissioner Baker for a period of approximately 2 months to investigate the needs of the sheriff's office and examine bottlenecks.
Yes.
Bottlenecks.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yes, I so move.
Okay,
Second that, let's move.
Okay.
uh. Oh, okay, right, all right. So we'll do a roll call vote. Chair Doss? Rick?
Yeah.
And Commissioner Baker
Yes.
and Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Okay.
So our next, yeah, our next topic is basically the monthly update. This is recommended action. The monthly update and the report. Account file.
You have enough time or we need to rest?
I thought
Yeah.
we kept you the whole time with that, but he's in a hurry to leave.
No, I don't have to go to sleep. All right, I apologize for April. We got April a little late before it could be submitted, so I'm only gonna do the stats for March. But with the response times for priority 2 calls, or no, I'm sorry. Yes. Oh, sorry, priority 1 calls. There were 2 calls for service, target.
Put up on.
I was jumping the gun.
I was on flyers before.
A little small, but yeah, priority 1 calls, we had 2 with a target time of 5 minutes, and then our average time was 2.94 minutes, so under 3. For priority 2 calls, there's 455, target time of 9, and their average time was 5 minutes. And priority 3 calls, there's 310 with a target time of 20 minutes, and it was an average time of 5. So significantly under what we are, which puts us definitely under for the year so far. It's still in way under what the target response times are. So that's always a plus, showing that we're going to the call swiftly and getting there in a lot of time and under. As far as crime stats, I know the biggest one, the next slide, or the next page, there we go. The biggest ones that stood out to me were basically burglaries. And I know we kind of already hit it on the head. And I know this commission that was a subcommittee that was just formed is going to help maybe point out some blind spots and issues maybe that we can help respond on. The biggest one is trending up our residential burglaries from last year. There was 13 in January, 7 in February, 14 last month in March, opposed to 4 the previous year. And then vehicle burglaries, we began kind of hammered as well. There was 10 last month, opposed to 5 the previous year. I know we have deployed extra patrols, especially like the hotspots, Thursday, Friday nights, patrolling the Cupertino Main Street, like the main thoroughfares where all the vehicle burglaries are occurring, as well as the actual residential areas. And then when I have time, I know a lot of residential burglary or vehicle burglaries don't happen during the day, but I try to stretch my legs by walking around Cupertino Main Street just to be visible and kind of just walk around some of that. It's getting a little hotter now, so I might not do it as often during the day, but I usually try to get out there at least once a week to kind of just walk around. That was the biggest ones that stood out to me as far as the crime stats. All the other ones are roughly about the same compared to the last year. Even identity theft is about the same as it was last year, which is surprising. But that was the biggest ones that stood out to me. Let's see what else we got here. As far as, I don't know if you want to hear about moving violations, but the focus, no. Okay.
DUIs maybe.
DUIs are actually not a lot. I mean, we don't have, I don't think, we had like 1 or 2 this year, and that's about it. I just think with the trend I've noticed, especially like Uber, Lyft and stuff like that, and all those rideshare programs, it's just like, you have to be very unsafe to drive under the influence nowadays, but they're still out there. So we still get them every now and again. It's usually like a traffic collision that leads to it, because they hit something or hit a car or something like that. But I just want to point out, which is traffic citations, is that we have new motor units or new guys that return to the motor unit this year. So they're all about just kind of enforcing safety and doing stuff a lot safer. So they're writing more speeding tickets and writing more moving violations. It's helped keep the community safe.
Yeah.
That was kind of the big things from my report. I just want to highlight, I guess, some arrests that we had over the course of March. Sheriff's Office case 25-061-0222. No, these are my own notes. I'm sorry. Yeah. So I just took some notes. I went through the weeklies and went through our activity logs to kind of point out some arrests. This one was actually a grand theft from a porch right over here off of Valley Green area. Suspect stole 2 bikes valued about $3,000. Witness saw the suspect steal the bikes, was able to kind of give a general direction. Deputies respond to the area, contacted the subject at, I believe, a bus station, and he was surprised still in possession of the bikes. So they were able to arrest him. He was also under the influence of a controlled substance and possessed methamphetamine. So he was booked into the jail for grand theft as well as under the influence and possession of meth. Another case is that actually a commercial burglary. The suspect went into the International Baptist Church right here on Stevens Creek. While they were in there, it was unknown how they got in there, but they got in there and they stole $1,900 in cash, 2 passports, and 2 watches belonging to the pastor that was there. Luckily, the person stuck around for us to come and contact them, gave a good statement, and we arrested her for the burglary and booked them into the jail. Last but not least is a organized retail theft case that we had. 4 suspects walked into Ulta right here on Homestead, stole $1,400 worth of, I believe it was testing perfume bottles. And they did not actually drive away. They went back to their vehicle and patrol units got there rather quickly, detained them in the parking lot and arrested 2 suspects of the 4 because the other 2 fled before we got there. But we got 2 of the 4 and arrested them and booked them to jail for the organized retail theft from Ulta. And if you don't know, our organized retail theft team, or HIT, the high impact team, does operations here all the time, as far as especially Target. Target hit gets all the time. And Ulta, they're actually doing Ulta. And as patrol, we also do frequent business checks for them. They've asked for us to hit the big retailers that get hit all the time, Ulta, Target, so that just to be that presence and show that we're actually driving through the neighborhood. But that's pretty much it for mine. I don't know if Captain Valkyrie takes longer or not, so hopefully I didn't cut it short.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So if you asked, it was great, it was long, you did a fantastic job. But any questions, comments, concerns?
We're gonna move to the fire report.
Okay, sorry. First time.
No, nice way. Excellent. I'll tell them you did great. Thanks. I wanted to say, thank you and to the members of the public. Public Safety Commission usually receives standard report from us. We had a little bit of a change in the actual format, so I will explain that as we go along. I'm reporting for the months of March and April. And with March, typically what we will do is we'll point out any like structure fire that may have had some kind of loss or any other kind of event, mass casualty or any big accidents. So we did not have any in Cupertino in the month of March that rise to the level that we would call a significant event. So with the information that we have, this cover sheet actually does give a descriptor of what it is that these things that you see on the next page measure. All right, so the first incident year to date. So as of this date, and basically as we march out, we'll see that one of the things that happened with COVID is that we had a big drop in the numbers, and we were seeing, as you can see, since 21, 22, 23, 24, 24 looked like it was going in a direction. And we saw the momentum actually picking up from where we were. So our expectation was that we were going to be hitting about 3 to 4% increase. There did seem to be a little bit of a decline in 2025. I'm not sure if that's attributed to weather or other. We had a lot of extreme weather over the last couple of years. did not have the atmospheric rivers. We didn't have a lot of the other extreme events. So things were a little bit more mellow. I don't have any detailed analysis that would indicate why the number did come down, but I would say that for next month, as we continue to see kind of how that trend and whether it's sticking to the expectation that we would typically have, is that it would continue to trend up and match. So I would say for this particular metric, look for that trending over an annual basis, and that would kind of indicate whether we're gonna need additional resources at some point, and that's the things that we really pay attention to. The number of incidents by month. Oh, good, we have the actual full, on the printed version of this, it cuts the data off. This one actually just it basically captures 36 months, which is a lot of information. So as far as just the ebb and flow of how a month to month progression, really the thing that I would say this helps us understand is if we have some kind of trends that are seasonal. So I know that certain months we might see a little bit of a bump because of spring weather or because of weather or because of something else, like school getting out. So you'll see those types of things reflected in some of the data there. For the most part, this particular graph, I would say unremarkable at the moment. The midnight, this one actually helps you understand what types of events are coming. One of the differences in the old report is it showed you number of units that were dispatched with the time of day. So we are refining these, but I thought that was actually a really interesting metric because you can see where anything on the freeway, rescue response might actually have 2 or 3 rigs coming. If you have an increase in the number of structure fires, those usually have 3 to 5 rigs coming. So you'll see that offset and it'll track with the hours. So basically, most of this is attributed to the number of freeways that we have in Cupertino coming through. There's a lot of traffic, a lot of commuters, and a lot of the stuff that happens is happening on the freeways. And then dispatch type. For those people who are new to the session, one of the things that a lot of folks don't realize is how many EMS calls are going. This one gives you a pretty good identifier, and I'll just cover very briefly what some of these are. The fire is aggregated from structure fires, vegetation fires, could be outside rubbish fires. So it's basically anything that is on fire, smoldering, was on fire, you categorize. In Cupertino, for the month of March, there were 5 incidents that rose to that level. Some things do get categorized as service or other types because they might have been on fire, but they were something that was smoldering or had some char and they didn't get classified as a structure fire or a fire. Fire alarms are just that. It's a system within a building that's indicating that there's something wrong. And usually it's triggering something that's related to a fire type event. So smoke, air handler, it could be a malfunction of a system or a sensor, but basically fire alarms. I mean, hazardous conditions would be carbon monoxide, odors, things like that. Medical, very self-explanatory, and others, kind of a catch-all. They're kind of like service calls, right below rescues, and those are the things where, hey, can you come take a look at this? It could be a hot water line that burst, a water pump. It could be a strange smell. It could be smoke in the area. Somebody let off a firework or something, so you do a patrol of the neighborhood. So it's kind of the catch-all that we have. And then rescues are primarily the types of events that we have for if a person was to get stuck in a ditch, or if they fell down a hillside at one of the parks, or it could also be a vehicle accident, a person was trapped, so that can also be classified. And then the pie with no middle there is basically just a graphic that matches the table on the left. Can go to the next page. This is actually a new the average time for apparatus responding. So is that we look at these, there's a call continuum that is represented in segments. And so the call processing time is the time where a person picks up the phone, calls dispatch, the dispatch picks it up and starts taking information. At some point during that call, they will have enough information to actually dispatch the unit. So that's kind of a parallel action where it's not a start to finish start. It's starting in process, and we call that there's an emergency medical dispatch protocol. So as you're asking questions, once you find out this is a fire of some sort in a building, then we notice then this response. So that, even though that time continues, you'll see the turnout time is triggered during, at all processing has started. Turnout time is the time that it takes, for a firefighter to receive notice at the fire station or wherever and actually go in route. So wheels turning. Those work either by buttons that are, pushed, or they work with a halo, so it's based location of the rating proximity where they were 3 seconds ago. And total reflex time is the time that it actually takes from the call pickup to the time that they get there. That's an important one. So 7:37 for that whole process is something that is it's a measurement really of like how long does it take to get there. That's probably the one that most people are looking for. That's the one they mean. The total reflex urban is, or that reflex time is broken into 2 types of areas, and this is actually more for EMS responses. Because basically it's how many people do you have, over 1,000. So if when you get a grid or a block that's, the density of 1,000 people, per square mile, you have a urban. If it's under, it's or it's rural. In Cupertino, it's actually a quick transition, because it's really only about half a mile from one to the other. So with that, we see that it does take longer to get out there because in proximity to where the firehouse is, it's highly urban. It's right in the middle of all the action. As you get out to the urban areas, you obviously have to drive through to the rural areas, you have to drive through the urban. So you'll see that top is fire calls. Bottom is EMS calls. It takes a little bit longer to turn out for a fire call because you're putting on your equipment and you actually have to have it on before you put on your seatbelt. That's one of the things that was changing culture. Before you should just get dressed while you're driving. But we don't do that anymore. So this one essentially would tell you, I would say pay attention to this one, and this is the one that I think most people really kind of want to know. When you're asked how long does it take? I would also pay attention to this one as you deal with traffic times and things like that. This would be the one that I think has a lot of value for us. Incidents by unit and average. This one's very specific. What it's doing is it's telling you for the units that are here. And in Cupertino, there are 3 permanent units. It's 71, 72, and 77. Actually, I mean stations. So there are there's about 5 units here. You have the hazmat unit, you have a comm unit, tiller truck, which is that 2-person driving truck, really big one over here in Stevens Creek. So you have a lot of resources here in Cupertino. And for each one of them, you'll see that there is a bar that around Instagram that basically tells you what their response time average is, and that's that's based on 5 responses, the best response. And so, and that will be the travel time for them, which doesn't include the call processing time, because that's a difference. It's like, why does it look the same? That's fine. And the H72 is the hazmat unit. It's a cross staff unit. So you have people who are there that have special training and they really support their what we call a type 1 unit, which means, let's say it's a really good unit that has a lot of capabilities and is recognized throughout the state as a primary unit, and there's only about 2 or 3 of them in the county. And then others is basically anybody outside of the area, which is coming in. You know that we kind of work in a network. And so if somebody's pulled into an event, you have another unit that's the closest, and we have a dispatch system that automatically will dispatch the closest unit. That one has been in place, I think, about a year now. And it's very sensitive, but it has a structure and it has a priority so that it knows to send the engine first. It would literally send, if 2 engines were sitting next to each other and one was 2 feet in front, it would send them. So it's actually got a really, really small footprint. And as far as the programs, 8 programs with almost 1,700 people who attended, and I think that's probably because of the safety, the public safety fair that occurred. So we had a pretty good response there. That and some of the other stuff that's happened. That we've been really ramping up, and we will have a event here for wildfire preparedness coming up. And the number of staff hours really just represents that we had a lot of people supporting that. And we can go to the next. And so I would say for this one, it really gives you an idea what the distribution is. You can see that, you know, the red or the interesting ones are usually the fires for most folks, but the real distribution here is that you can see throughout Cupertino that the call volume is pretty well distributed. So it doesn't really matter where you live. Every neighborhood is touched. And as far as the types of calls, if you look at the legend to the left, that hazardous condition orange is one of those things that, and you can see they actually seem to happen right around Stevens Creek. So really, probably gas stations could be some kind of storage, but anything that would require some kind of specialized investigation, you'll see those types of things coming up. And that rescues, I would say, let's move to the next one. I'll move through this one a little bit quicker. Because now that we understand what we're dealing with here, there was one significant event that I'll talk about for a second, and that basically was a structure fire. It was in a home about 2,300 square foot home, a single story. And first, the crews got there, they had a contents fire in a bedroom. So they were able to actually knock it down, basically meaning that they taken the fire from either a free burning state to something that is actually knocked down where it's not going to spread anymore. It might be a little bit more work, find deep seated fire, but it'll just be like smoldering areas and they'll just be pulling apart walls and doing things like that. This event actually had a knockdown time. It came in at 8:59 and at 9:08 they had knockdown. But it still resulted in $40,000 worth of estimated damage. It would be up to the insurance company to determine exactly how much. This tells you how fast and how much damage a fire can actually cause, which means, you know, smoke alarms. If one of the things that could be communicated and could be amplified is the importance of smoke alarms, early activation or early warning devices in the homes, and all of the fire prevention components that are actually part of the building construction standards. That those things like time changing your batteries, making sure that those things, carbon monoxide detectors, anything there that's based on that, because you want this event to stop and you want to keep it as small as possible. And that's our initial goal, is to keep it in the room of contents, keep it in the building of contents or of origin, and then keep it basically from spreading to the environment. So you know, we always try to build boxes when we're attacking a fire. So with that, 30,000 was the structure, and about 10,000 was estimated as contents in the bedroom. All right, I'll move on to summary of these guys here. So with these numbers, they're very similar to the last. So I'm actually curious to find out why that drop is represented. Since these reports are really new, I do want to understand it a little. I think that for us, we're seeing pretty much the same things. So I'm not going to go into it too much, but there is an opportunity to talk about that. And if we look at the next page, I'd say pay attention to the turnout times and the call processing, because those are actually of the continuum. They're the two that a lot of the most action can be taken to improve. Those are processes, those are behaviors, those are other things that basically are, that's where our opportunity for continuous improvement exists. The travel time, and if you're looking at the history to the right or the bar chart, how long does it take to get somewhere is a function of traffic. And then the time that you see, the time of day, a lot of events during the afternoon, having an understanding that it takes longer during commute hours. And I throw in that it really just depends on how many people on the road, how dense a neighborhood is, location, or the distance that you're going. So I would say that's not even what part that's in here. And that would be about it. We can see that we have pretty much the same type of distribution here that we had before. One hazmat type call, lots of EMS. And the structure fire. Little flames are obviously the fire station. 79 would be one of those units that would be included in that because they're outside and coming in. And I would be happy to answer any questions or anyone.
Let's start with. I'm not trying to keep you guys from talking.
Thank you, for this presentation, really appreciate it. Now we can have the questions in the commission member first.
Like for cross both. Right? Oh, yeah, I guess I had like one question. So like, actually back in the neighborhood watch presentation, we had the year by year total, like the different categories, and like it seemed that like the identity theft and forgery, those I guess were like consistently trending upward. So I guess like, are there any recommendations that you have for us to like, I guess, take back to the public on? I think it was the neighborhood watch one with like the bar chart.
Yeah,
And
no,
then
I got you. Biggest thing with that D theft is just they target the elderly. It's just because like as you get older, your faculties aren't there, and then you start kind of like believing things, like especially like the scams where it's like, hey, it's your grandson Johnny. I'm in jail in Mexico. Like I need $2,000 in Target gift cards sent to me, right? So those ones are hard to combat, just because you could tell somebody who they're blue in the face, like, hey, don't answer those calls, but they'll still like answer them, right?
Yeah.
Biggest thing is it's just kind of for the general is just like if people start asking for your personal identity information over the phone or email, whatever it is, it's more likely a scam. Just because if my like say Wells Fargo hits me up, like, and I bank with Wells Fargo, then they should already have my information. Like they shouldn't be asking me what's your social security number, what's this, unless I call them and I know it's them and they're verifying my information. But no, they shouldn't be requesting mine. So like it's kind of like trust your gut. Like if you feels like something's weird, something's fishy, like especially if it comes to like payments and gift cards. Like no institution is gonna ask for $1,000 in Apple gift cards.
Yeah, yeah.
Because then they'll stay on the phone with people and say like, hey, go down to Target, buy $1,000 gift cards, scratch off the numbers, read me those numbers. And it's just like, no, that's, so I guess the biggest thing is like, they start asking for gift card payments or anything like that, then it's more likely a scam.
Right. Yeah, I think there's also like this other issue, which is like maybe you guys have also gotten like these letters and stuff. Like I'll get like letters and like emails from like companies that I quote unquote trust, like AT&T, I mean, whatever, like some companies, right? And then they're like, oh, by the way, like your information was like in a breach.
Yeah.
So it's like in that situation, it's like I basically just have to like assume that like my like social security number or whatever is just like out there. And I guess like I guess maybe like it would be cool if like maybe on the city website or something if there's like resources for like how to like remedy that. Like because I know like some people say like, oh, you should like call like the credit
bureaus.
Exactly. And then like order like a freeze, right? Which I think is something like a lot of people don't actually know about, but like they should do. So maybe like having something, some resources about that.
Yeah, there's you could definitely, that's one thing you could do is put a freeze on your credit account where you have to basically okay every single time you try to get a loan or anything like that, right? There's also once a year, all the 3 major credit bureaus offers a free credit report.
Right.
So you could always reach out to people, say, okay, once a year, check your credit to see if there's anything that you don't recognize. And then especially if you're a victim of identity theft, as long as you provide a report number, you're subject to a free credit report as well through the 3 major bureaus.
I think getting such information out to the community and making them available, I think that's distribution is the problem. There is a lot of time, I think, you get a lot of this good use, good practice information. A lot of people ignore those, they don't read it.
Yeah,
right? Whether it's
Until they run
safety,
into-
until they run into some problem, right? Nobody, cares, right? That is why one of the things that we discussed, I didn't clearly remember last meeting also, is that how some of these neighborhood programs and other programs, we can, community-based program. Through that, if my neighbor says something, I will listen, but the automated email, someone from city comes, it goes automatic in the trash, right? So nobody needs it. I think that's the problem and how we can get there. I think when you guys study next session, I think this is another thing that. So getting this information out, I think a lot of best practices are there. Getting this information out is important. Fire and safety both, I think, for it.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys use Nextdoor. I mean, that's one,
That's
one
another good source.
platform to put it out.
Another good platform to pull it out. It's very
And I forgot to mention, since we've seen an uptick in vehicle burglaries, I guess what you could preach to your constituents, if you guys come across them, is essentially don't give people a reason to break into your car. Like, if you leave a backpack in the back seat, backpack in the front seat, your purse on the front seat, like, guys are gonna go off of that because it's easy targets, right? So I know here in Cupertino, we have big Apple people coming in from around the world, but like, if you leave a backpack with a big Apple logo on it, like, I know there's something Apple product in there, whether it's a MacBook, an iPad. So I'm definitely breaking into my car and grabbing that backpack, whether it's empty or whether there's something in it. So yeah, just because when I was a deputy and I go out to a vehicle burglary, I put it this way. Like, hey, like, I understand your laptop got stolen. Well, where was it? It was on my front seat. I'm like, okay, would you leave $2,000 on your front seat? And they're like, well, no, that's kind of silly. I'm like, well, you did by leaving your laptop on there. You left $2,000 on your seat. So I kind of put in that perspective of like, hey, don't give people a reason to break into your car.
all right, I had like one last question, and this is like kind of a random one, so like feel free to like shoot it down.
Mhm.
But I remember like a couple of meetings ago, like hearing from like Chief Estrada about how like there's this program for like, I guess, giving like smoke alarms. Like there's like a program like that. So I was wondering, like, because of the kind of, I guess there was like an uptick in the residential burglary, and like on that pie chart, like a big, like almost a majority of it, I think, or maybe a plurality was like the sliding glass door
Mhm.
thing. Like, would it be feasible, or is there any like thought about like maybe doing something similar for like the shatter alarms? Like just like how they had the program with the smoke alarms, maybe something to do with like
Yeah,
glass
that's pretty.
shatter alarm, something like that.
Oh, that's interesting.
I don't know if it's it's like too expensive to do, then I guess maybe not, but
Yeah, I'd have to maybe talk to the chief here, and see like, I guess, where they get the funding for that program. That's something we could probably do offline.
sure.
I'd have to do some research too, because I don't know if they have, because I know like the alarm companies, they have flash break alarms that are connected to their systems.
Oh, I see.
I just don't know if they have like a,
Standalone.
yeah, something you can buy off of Amazon or like Home
Right.
Depot or something like that, where it's glass break specific. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then it could come to the question of like, how reliable are they?
Right.
But yeah, I could definitely look into that. And there might be maybe something out there, like, cause I know like Hyundai, they have a program where they give out, wheel locks
Oh, interesting.
for free. Just because they know they have a compromise of their Hyundais, with the basically be able to steal them rather easily. It's just a USB. So they have a program like that. So there might be maybe a program out there like that. So I can take a look.
Similarly, steering wheel lock or incentives for home security system,
What's that?
like steering wheel lock.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, maybe there's some program out there that offers some kind of assistance or free, or maybe some. That's pretty large.
Anybody has any other comment?
So the uptake is like almost 400% March on March, when we are looking at that metrics, right? So from the sheriff report. So is there any default actions the sheriff's department is taking, because the uptake is like 400% month on year on year?
The burglar.
Yeah, burglary.
Residential burglar.
So March 2024 to March 2025, it's almost like 400+%.
For residential?
Yeah.
Yeah, it went from 4 to 14. Yeah, it was 4 last year, 14 this year. And I'm sorry, what was your question?
So because that's like year on year, such a extensive number increase, is there any pensions that our sheriff's department is taking?
So we have identified like some hotspots and areas, as far as like times. And we have periodically put out, targeted patrols for burglary, like burglary suppression. And then we put that up for like overtime for like deputies to come in and just supplement the patrol staffing that is right now. Where their sole job is to kind of just drive around, be present, be available.
Right.
I don't know the days we did it, so I don't wanna like give the wrong days. But I know we did look into that, and I know Captain Valenzuela has periodically put it out, so that way people can come in and at those times to kind of drive around, be visible. That kind of answer your question a little bit?
Certain localities where you see the trend or like, or overall Cupertino?
It was more like the days and times.
Days and times.
Yeah, I forget what days and times they were. I know it was like kind of like the graph said, the evening times, like
So-
up to like midnight. And I want to say it was like the latter part of the week too, but I don't know off the top of my head what days exactly we targeted.
So is it happening or it happened already that
It's happening periodically, yeah.
periodically?
Yeah.
So do you see positive impact of reduction in the numbers with that? Or
I think it's still early to tell, to see how much of an impact it is. And then also like balancing the budget, right? We don't want to just like shotgun approach, have so many people doing it, and now we're over budget as far as the city goes. And now it's kind of its own different animal and issue, right? So it's kind of a balancing act of, and that's why I said it's like periodically occurring where it's like, and plus we don't want bad guys to know, hey, we're always out on a Friday night or we're, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? So at least it's a little bit more randomized.
grandmas?
Yeah.
So maybe subcommittees, data collection is how the patrols is done and how is there any effective recommendation of, I don't. Thank you. And thank you both. It's a great presentation and thank you for keeping the Cupertino city safe, right? It's been really appreciate all what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah. Start.
Yeah, question.
Public comment, yeah.
Yeah.
Please.
Hunter?
Yes, I've been here. Yeah.
You
But
lost 3 minutes.
hopefully don't need them. I'll ask the hard question for a short answer. I work at San Francisco State University. We have a problem when folks are arrested, they're back on the street the same day. So you said that they're booked into the jail. Do you have the same problem in this jurisdiction as we have up there that you can't keep?
Yeah.
That they're just, we have people who've been arrested 20 times.
Wait, are you yielding the rest of your time to?
Oh, for the answer?
Yes.
No, I have two other
Okay.
questions. Okay,
Let's
so
do those.
that was one. I'm sure that the committee has heard about this program, marking catalytic converters, so that they can be recovered. I just was wondering if we have a program like that. I figured you had brought that up. That was second question too. And for the fire service, when you dispatch units to a particular event, countywide, not Cupertino wide, do you have a program of reallocating your resources back into backfilling the area? Particularly with medical, that's a really good way of improving your response time. You know, if all of the units from Cupertino are up in the hills fighting a fire and somebody has a medical emergency in Cupertino, they're not coming back. So you're now looking at a further district to get the resources in. I know San Mateo County had a program where particularly the medical resources, as soon as one medical unit moved, all the others repositioned. Maximum coverage. You guys do something like that. So I yield the rest of it.
Okay, your first question about keeping people in jail is a little bit of a larger answer to unpack. Because it's kind of out of our hands, because it's a review process between the magistrate who reviews the booking, depends on the charge, what it is. And then there's a multiple factors of goes into if they stay in or not, as far as like long term. So I can't really answer that because I've seen people who get released on one, like the same crime. I've seen people who stay on the same crime. So it's just kind of comes into criminal history. There's a bunch of other factors where it actually, they stay in or not. The second one about Cadillac converters, I know the laws changed a bit where they put a little more onus on the recycle plants or the recycle businesses, where essentially I think they, don't quote me, where the person turning in the Cadillac converter kind of has to prove kind of where they got it from, like through receipts or whatever it may be. And the recycle company can actually be found liable or can be charged with stuff too if they're still willy-nilly still taking in obviously stolen converters. Because if I'm a bad guy coming with 10 Cadillac converters, like the average layman person is going to know if they're stolen. So that's why we've seen a very like dip in Cadillac converter theft like across the board. Like for instance, my time back here in West Valley, I think I've heard of like one or two instances where a converter was attempted to be stolen or got stolen. Whereas 2 years ago, before laws changed, it was like a nightly occurrence. Cadillac converter got stolen. So I know those programs are still out there to edge them. I don't know if the city is explored that option, but I just don't know if the juice is with the squeeze at this point, just because things changed a bit. If that makes sense.
So for the fire department, yeah, the dispatch streams are actually set precisely, then we need to iterate on making sure that we have the right number of resources going to the right event. That's part of the EMD or the medical dispatch set of questions that they get. So they find out exactly what it is, where it is, who's involved, making sure the jurisdiction. And we actually go through county com, the dispatch center, which actually also handles all the ambulances and sheriff's office. So, and that's throughout the county. So we have that dispatch center actually is tied in and sends pretty much any resource that you would actually see coming to Cupertino or anywhere else within the county, whether it be law enforcement or fire or EMS. San Jose has its own dispatch center. So one of the things that we have is a tool that has filters and it tells exactly where everyone is. So I'm currently the duty chief. That means that I have the responsibility of always maintaining an awareness of what's going on and if something needs to be pushed to the line or to firefighters, it either comes through me or comes up through me. At the time, we have a rotation and it's the duty chief and the battalion chiefs that actually do the automatic, we call them move ups. Move ups. So a move up is at county fire, they happen immediately. So as soon as you get an event that starts pulling people out, we have a heat map that shows us where we have a deficiency. So units will come over and we'll start splitting up little houses. And we'll make sure that we have coverage. So that actually is typical for us to start right away. So that we can always make sure that we're trying to maintain those average response times to basically make sure that we have coverage and not leave any gaps or holes. Another thing that is that happens at events is there's this continuous process of giving a status, and we get time checks at an event, especially extended events. So those are intended to prompt the incident commander to start releasing resources once they're no longer necessary. So the answer is yes. It's pretty well practiced as a best practice. All agencies do it, but I spent some time neighboring agency for decades. Move ups happen here faster. And the overall process really does aim to make sure that we have no gaps, making sure we have some. That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And
Here's actually one of the things, the mutual aid process. So whenever an event overwhelms the resources, okay, there's auto aid, which happens immediately and it doesn't require approval. And we all help each other out. And then there's mutual aid that for an extended event, anything that's lasting 6, 7, 8 hours that overwhelms the local. We also have the ability to call in specialized resources. So in the event of like a wildfire, things like that, that's the system that's in place. It works not only throughout California, but it works with all the neighboring states. We get resources and send resources outside of the state all the time. And that is county fire is also the coordinator for this area. And we are also one of the coordinators for the region.
thank you so much. I'm sorry, I was rushing and for your great report and with such a patient, answered all the questions, really appreciate it. And thank you for your service. So the next is, Martha, is, your commissioners.
Yes, so would you prefer to do the commission reports first or staff reports first?
Any, any,
I can go ahead and give my update. Hopefully it was pretty quick. All right. So. Had a couple things, so at the April 15th council meeting. Actually, Estrada gave a presentation to the council discussing the local responsibility area fire hazard maps. At that same council meeting, there was a proclamation honoring the Cupertino Citizen Corps, so that's the community emergency response team, Cupertino Amateur Radio Emergency Services, and Medical Reserve Corps. We had a Build a Kit event. It was the first of 2025. There were 26 attendees and 14 kits built. The block leader orientation unfortunately had to be canceled. That was scheduled for later this month. Unfortunately, not enough signups. But we will have a block leader meeting. And that will have a featured speaker from the Fire Safe Council. Where we'll be discussing Firewise communities and going a little bit more into what residents can do. In terms of home hardening and defensive space, things like that. There is an open commission seat. We have had, well, last time I spoke at the clerk's office, there were 2 applications for the seat. The final number of how many applications are requested is up to council. And that process goes through council, so I cannot give any further details on it. But it is moving forward. And the Citizen Corps activities, there was a CARES general meeting on the 1st. And CERT had a county exercise on the 3rd. There will be a CPR AED training for some of the volunteers. And they are preparing for the July 4th fireworks. That is something that CARES, CERT, and MRC use as kind of a readiness drill. They attend the fireworks and sort of practice using the radios and alerting each other, all those things. And then I wanted to give a plug for Cupertino.gov/e-notification. That's where you can sign up for all of the city's newsletters. There was a newsletter originally called Items of Interest, now called Cupertino Connect, that goes out every other week. At the bottom of that message is where we have the reports from the sheriff's office about weekly crimes. That does include arrests and assault cases. You can also sign up for the calendar alerts for both council and commission meetings, but also city events. And there are various types of city news newsletters. I encourage all of you to go and sign up for everything that interests you, but also spreading the word. This is the main way that the city reaches out. So, you know, we really rely on people actually signing up. And I am working with the communications manager, communications partner, to revamp some of the newsletters that I will be responsible for. We are introducing a quarterly public safety newsletter. And so I will be asking for your help to make sure that that is covering topics that residents are interested in, but also getting the word out about those.
Thank you.
Oh, yes, there is a wildfire. It's the wildfire workshop, and that'll be, I believe it's the 22nd.
but I know we just scheduled it.
Okay, I will include that in the email, with any informational updates, information about that.
Thank you, Martha. Do you have any other? Oh, okay, I didn't see the lighting up. Okay, sorry, yeah.
No worries. You just mentioned that you were trying to put out a public safety list. I don't know if that's the first one going to come up.
I am not. But hopefully the first one will come out in July, but yeah, don't worry, you will all be hearing about it.
Okay. Awesome. So we, any other report you have, that's the only one.
If any of the commissioners have anything to report.
Any other commissioner, any report?
Oh, yeah, so like at the fair, like the public safety
What
fair.
happened? Yeah, how was that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was good. Like I thought the attendance was great. There was like this guy who, like, he apparently came to like one of the city booths and was like asking to speak to, like a public safety commissioner or something. But then I was like at another booth and then I heard about that when I like tracked this guy down, like, oh, in the fair. And I'm like, oh, hello, like I'm a public safety commissioner. And then he basically like was, I guess, trying to like pitch some kind of thing, like some kind of tool or product. I wasn't sure like what the,
Safety product.
yeah, some kind of like safety product. And I was like, oh, I think you should probably get like one of the commission meetings. I wasn't sure if there's like some official channel for that kind of stuff.
So
Vendor.
I asked him to reach back out and I never heard from him again.
Okay, all right.
So if you have his contact information, I would appreciate it, but
All right, yeah. I'll I don't remember if he like, and yeah, I don't know if like he sent anything, but yeah, I'll check. But yeah.
Thank you, Sally. Any other comment on this report?
I'll see you guys.
Okay.
What's that? No, since I didn't want to interrupt anybody.
So in that case, I think, so next our item is the future, agenda, right? Okay,
So I guess we know one topic.
we know one topic, yes, exactly. So.
Not to interrupt, you guys need for anything more?
Thank you
Okay,
very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Yeah, take it easy.
Yeah, as well.
So I think my request is basically the first one is definitely the subcommittee report, and hopefully we should set the meeting such a way that subcommittee gets dissolved at least 1 week before that and we get the report. We have some time to, absorb that and discuss in this meeting. And the other thing I was thinking that we discussed last meeting as well as today multiple times that the community policing and involving community more and how block leader program can be engaged. For example, this messaging that we are saying, sending all these messages through the block leader program. And Martha, you were saying that you are not getting enough participants even for the block leader program, or some of the intention, not enough people to participate, right? So maybe if we can get a, next meeting, we get a presentation from the block leader program and understand what that program is and how that program, I sincerely believe that program we should leverage, because a lot of this is about involving community, sending the message and how we can do, community involvement for fire as well as public safety and little bit understanding of that program. That'd be a good topic to have. That's my suggestion. Any other thing?
No, that's quite fair. What adding to what he said, even the information we can get, how are we to define the blocks? How many blocks do we have and how many have block leaders?
Yeah.
So, because, ideally, every block should have a leader. It's not,
That'll be part of
that is already.
That should be part of the report, yeah.
So the details of that kind of thing.
That'll be wonderful, yeah. That's about it, right? So
Even
now,
comment.
any other, okay.
Yeah, on the future agenda, I have some suggestions.
Yes.
One is I would like to see an action item tracker because like
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I want a section for an action item tracker. That way we see whatever we discuss the action items, what is the status of the next meeting.
Yeah.
Is it possible? Can we include that?
I think this is generally supposed to be part of the meeting minutes, right?
Actually,
if
I've
you take the
never,
action item.
I've never seen.
No, I'm saying
action
it's
items
supposed to be,
tracked.
yeah. so I
Yeah, I've
think-
never seen, but I would like to also suggest that we have not just the meeting minutes, but we actually have action items tracked separately.
Yeah,
And I have written them down for today.
Right.
If you want to take a picture or, if you want me to read them.
no, I think,
It would be good to have an action.
Separate section for action items.
So that we don't miss anything or, we sort of accountability.
I would have to talk with Val about.
But the action items, we don't have to talk to Rochelle about, I think.
I mean, just making sure how it fits in the agenda. But I can send out information, like updates and emails.
Yeah, it doesn't, so the point is that we track the action items. It's
Yeah.
not necessary that we have to fit it into the
Yeah.
agenda. We need to have a place where we
can track action items.
we
Yeah,
just say,
maybe-
here are the 5 action items we took from this meeting, and here is the resolution on. 3 of them, or 1 of them.
maybe we can create some level of running document where all the action item goes there and share with all the commissioners at least that document, all the commissioner can see through that. Okay, so this was the last meeting agenda, that this is the stuff we discussed, this is the stuff we thought that, we'll follow up. That's
I
about-
think it's important to keep them space if it goes again into the meeting minutes. In the
There's no
vast amount,
space for it, yeah.
in the vast amount of details, it get lost. So I think it's.
Special.
Chris,
Yeah, that's
what is
what
the
I'm
activity,
saying.
No,
what-
that's what I said, there's a separate document, I said that separate
I mean,
document.
yeah, not in the
and
minutes.
then
No.
that document can be shared with the commission members. I think, you can share it.
Yeah.
And
I
then,
mean, you can check and get back to us, right?
I mean, I think through the chair, we could just document the action items requested under each item. So under each item that was discussed this evening, there were action items requested by commissioners, and so that could be documented in the minutes.
So who needs to document?
What was that?
Who is documenting that action item?
In the meeting minutes. That's that.
Jessica
It'll be
and
like-
Martha took it,
It'll
so.
be like action recommended.
Yes. It'll
Under-
say like commissioner so requested an update on X, Y, and Z.
Okay, so then what happens if that action item, for whatever reason, is not completed?
For the timeline in terms of how long it would take to follow up on an action item, I'm not 100%.
No, I'm not asking for a timeline. What I'm saying is, let's just say you took down 3 action items. And for whatever reason, only 2 were completed because of something. There's more data, something that we need to be done. Now, the next agenda does not track this particular topic. However, that action is still pending.
Pending.
What happens to it then?
City staff can keep a running list, and if the commission.
That's
Yes,
what
I think that's what we want.
That's what-
That's
So that-
exactly what we're saying.
So that's what. was-
That's what we're
Yes, a
saying.
running list.
The running list.
Of
needs
action
to be
items.
Available for us, either as part of the agenda.
Yeah.
Or,
Some
somewhere,
other document.
somewhere where we can see, hey, 3 got done, it's
Yeah.
okay when they get done. The question is, we don't wanna have to say, oh, we talked about this last meeting, but it's not part of the agenda now, so we can't address it.
Yeah. And another thing, Jessica, logistically, this is, okay. That, for example, all the commissioner took some, notes also from the meeting. And based on their interpretation, this is the action item we have taken. Sometime, we thought this is the action we have taken, sometime she did not think we took that action item. Can the commissioner send an email to Martha or you saying that, hey, this was the notes I took, I thought this is the action item, then you can reconcile those so that we make sure that we are covering everything in the.
Yeah, so you can send that directly to the 2 of us,
Yes, that's what I'm
but
saying.
not to the other.
No, not to the other, directly to 2 of you, so that you have everything.
Right.
And then, then you can reconcile this so that you don't miss anything.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Suggestion, yeah.
Excellent.
We all can send whatever.
Yes, exactly. Otherwise, we may have, it's a matter of interpretation, like what we
Yeah.
discussed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So I have one more, I think considering this is like a 3-hour meeting, we should have like a 5-minute break and time bound, isn't the That way,
I-
like for the public, we are giving only 3 minutes, maybe like 5 minutes or 6 minutes, whatever the time, right? For each of the commissioner on every agenda topic, that way it's all time bound. I'm not thinking like 20 minutes, right? I mean, everybody's time is important.
Yes, I think that's fair. That's fair.
If I may, so that doesn't actually need to be an agenda item, but the chair can always call a break during the meeting. The chair would just say, I would like to call a 5 minute break.
Okay.
Put the room on mute and the commissioners can get up for 5 minutes.
Next time.
Okay.
Next time we'll do that, yeah. Okay.
And also, I think the other part of the suggestion we shouldn't miss is that we have a specific time to discuss this, because we can go round and round and round with the
Yeah.
same thing
Yeah.
for. And considering the sheriff and the fire department are here,
Yeah.
we'd like to be a little bit more cognizant of their time.
So every agenda, let's put like 15, for example, subcommittee, right? We allocate 20 minutes or something. That way we try to time bomb if you are, when we are approaching.
Each other, like, we-
Also set by the chair.
Correct. So limiting the time of commissioner comments and questions is also set by the chair as well.
Yeah.
We can certainly discuss.
We can, the next agenda,
yeah.
other than time.
It was like five minutes,
Yeah.
go round one, 5 minutes, second round.
But today it was exceptionally
This was a
long
long,
and, yeah.
We don't intend to make this.
So we never did a like subcommittee formation. I think that was
Yes.
a painful process,
That
but
took long, yeah.
No, it's great that we got, we discussed it in detail,
yeah.
but, yeah, going forward, just
Definitely, yeah.
FYI.
So with that in, mind, so can I adjourn the meeting right now today?
Thank you.
And so there is no vote required. So thank you, everyone. We'll meet next time.
All right, thanks.